It doesn't rule you out if you have something that you want to complain about, but if you're going to complain, offer the solution that as you see it, so that we will think not just about what we've been looking at, but as Prime Minister often says, many hands make light work, and I suppose the same thing goes for many brains. And the rural, rustic setting of St. Lucie, and the way people treat the things in a sincere and a genuine manner, that's what we expect to get from you tonight. Now, if you are going to make a presentation tonight, although we are staying informal and we're going to use tonight as a gauge for how we go forward, we still want you to go over to the desk on my right, which is manned by staff at the Prime Minister's office, and we will get basic information from you. And the reason why we are doing this is, as I said earlier, the ideas that you present may require further discussion. It may require you to join us in a meeting. It may require us to put you in contact with other people. It may require you to be involved with a government agency or ministry that will help with a solution. So if we have that contact information, it becomes that much easier. Now, the other thing I would wish before we get going in earnest is for those of you who are sitting at the back to come join us up front and let's warm each other. There are some people who tell me they're not coming forward, so I don't want to pick on them. And they're smiling because they know I'm talking about them. Please come forward. Don't make me beg. Come forward. But she came forward by one seat. We want you to come to the curved seats. Come up, Fred. There you go. Thank you. All right. So, to get things going, we're going to invite the Prime Minister to just give a little brief on the forum and why we are here, and to encourage you. Prime Minister?
Thank you very much, Roy. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right. This is our chance to be able to broaden the spectrum of who gets a say and how this country is built out. And we have been doing Parish Speaks, but we felt that for the We Gathering year, that we wanted to give the average citizens the opportunity truly to pretend as if, or to be as if they were the ones going into government and trying to make Barbados a better place. How do you let people sleep easier when the night comes? How do you get basic things working better in this country? How do we change people's relationships with each other? How do we work with each other differently? And therefore, for us as members of the executive, members of parliament, we are here pretty much to listen, members of the public service, because they're the ones serving you, whether it is through water, whether it is through whatever ministry, education, health, whatever. And therefore, this is your chance to be able to bring the ideas for how we can make your community, your parish, your country better, and your family's lives easier. You will notice that we are not sitting on the platform this time. We are very much in the audience with you, and that is deliberate. You will hear us maybe once or twice throughout the evening if there are things that we may have to clarify for you or to explain why something may be more palatable and why it is not. But at the end of the day, what I'm going to ask is that there be an inventory of the ideas that come forward every month, and those that need to move to the next stage, that we work with Future Barbados to be able to help move them to the next stage. And then when we have concepts that are workable, or if those concepts are already workable, we pass them to the line ministry, line department, or we consider them within the context of government's programming. If there are fiscal implications, we have to assess them and see whether they are affordable or not affordable. And if they are, whether we can bring them now or we bring them the next fiscal year, depending on the urgency or the balance of all of them. But in the same way that those who serve in ministries or who head up departments and agencies get the opportunity to put forward recommendations for programs or improvements, this is your time, every Barbadian in every parish for the next 11 months, to be able to tell us if you were given the chance to be able to help make this country or this community or this region better, what would you like to see? What would you want to do? And those that are palatable, those that are capable of implementation, we give you our word, we will work with them. Where we can't, we'll explain to you, even if not tonight, when the inventory is done, why these particular ideas may not necessarily have been appropriate at this point in time. Now, I know we're breaking new ground. And when we're breaking new ground in a country that don't like change, it takes a while for things to pick up. But I have every confidence that this approach will give us a new conduit of ideas and participation and strengthen our democracy at the very time when all democracies globally are at risk because of the absence of spaces where shared facts and shared values can be nurtured, and shared facts are literally shared among us all so that we can operate from the same basis and make the same judgments. So let us use these opportunities. This is not for play, this is real, and this is intended to have a process thereafter that also can make people move from ideas to reality. I see a few people in the audience tonight who were this morning conferred with the Pride of Industry Barbados Awards from Her Excellency President, the Most Honorable Dame Sandra Mason. May I ask those of you who received awards this morning to stand and let your fellow parishioners and fellow persons recognize you and congratulate you yet again. Ian, you're standing in the back, but you can come forward. Mr. Phillips, please. And these persons were nominated by their fellow parishioners and peers. They were accepted by the National Honors Committee, and the honors were recommended to Her Excellency, who has conferred them this morning. Every month, we will be continuing the conferment of awards to parishioners in the We Gathering month. The truth is, we do not salute each other enough. And I, therefore, on behalf of a grateful nation, a grateful parish, say thank you to each of you. As I said this morning, you did not set out to get awards when you started doing what you were doing. But your efforts have caused those who have watched you to be able to say you are deserving of it. I want to thank the chairman of the National Honors Committee, Hema Connie, as well, for presiding over, obviously, increased activity as we go forward in this We Gathering year. So let us make this defining difference, and let us break new ground in democracies such as ours that really want to hear from people and to give people a real chance to being able to add to our programs so that we operate not just from our manifestos or from our sectoral consultations with bodies, but we are doing it now from ordinary people. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Okay, so now we get into the meat of the matter. And earlier this week, there was a story on CBC TV News that talked about something that ought to trouble all of us, regardless of which parish we are in, but specific to St. Lucie. There's a school, a primary school right outside of this hall here, St. Lucie's Primary, with a roll that is barely over 100. Further north, there's Ignatius Bayer, with a roll that is less than 50. And just on the western side of the parish, there's Half Moon Fort, again with a roll of less than 50. That is, and those are plants that were built to hold significantly more. Here at Daryll Jordan, the roll is 435. When I was at CP, there were more than 1,100 students at this school. when you think of this hall, there is no school in Barbados that has a hall that can compare with this. But a mere 430 odd students benefit from it. So we talked about that, and the chief education officer in that story talked about looking at the use of plants, looking at amalgamation, looking at alternative uses and such like. And following that, when we were standing over by the table before the meeting started, a lady walked over to me and said, I can't stay, I don't feel well, but I just want you to talk about, or I wanted to talk about the use of schools in the parish, to look at how they can be amalgamated, to look at if one can't be used for special needs, and such like. And she also talked about if you're going to handle the school issue, you need to be able to deal with busing. Because she says, in her words, I just live across the road here. But unless she drives or walk, her route to get just across the road here is to drive to Spikestown with one bus fare, and then to drive back here with another bus fare. Those are genuine concerns that people have. And she came out to talk about them, but unfortunately she's not well. So, I'm going to give now a chance to a young man who teaches, coincidentally, at the school just next door, Andre Lane. He has some thoughts about what can be done to improve transportation and other things in the parish, and he is going to lead off. And after that, we're going to have a special presentation, which Jonathan will tell you more about once we are through. Pardon? Yeah, we'll sit. So we will hear from Andre, and then the special presentation.
Hey, good evening. I don't know if protocol was established, but I would attempt to extend my greeting in protocol. Of course, we have Madam Prime Minister, we have members of cabinet, other members of government, and of course the good people of St. Lucie. Yes, a representative who is both. He has a dual role of being a member of government and being a good person of St. Lucie at the same time. So a special welcome to you, Mr. Phillips. First of all, let me say thank you for this opportunity to interact with the senior members of government. Minister Lane, who shares a last name with myself. I call him my brother, or refer to him as my brother. I have a brother with his name as well. So he and I have a rapport. But I want to thank you in all sincerity, giving us this opportunity to interact with the senior members of government and to give some ideas where the development of the various parishes are concerned. I think it's important, and I think you're one of the few governments in the world that can boast of having done such, so you deserve a round of applause and to pat yourselves on the back. Insofar, yes, there's a caveat, insofar as these suggestions actually make it into legislation to benefit the residents, and I trust that they will. So without further ado, let me begin. And I want you to bear with me because what Roy, if I could call him that, Mr. Morris, spoke about earlier, that issue of transportation is connected to the same issue of the depopulation in the schools in St. Lucie. And it's also connected to housing, and it's also connected to water resources and so on. So I want you to bear with me as I build out some of the problems we have, and I promise for every problem that I identify that I would attempt to offer a solution. How feasible the solution would be, we would find out in the days and the years to come. So the first thing is what Mr. Morris spoke about, transportation in St. Lucie, where even though you're close, you're disconnected because of the lack of access to public transportation to connect the various parts of St. Lucie. So that lady who lives down let's say, Archers Bay, where you had the opportunity to go and enjoy not so long ago. To get here, she has to take a bus to go to Spicestown to come back here, unless the Phantom Church bus appears and she's able to actually make the direct track. So that is one of the challenges we have. So my suggestion with regard to transportation in St. Lucie is, first of all, it begins with infrastructure. I'm not sure if the Minister of Transport and Works is here. I don't see her at this point in time, but I'm sure the message will get to her. There is a road that travels from the bottom of Bourbon Highway in St. Lucie, I believe in a northeasterly direction, and it connects here at the bottom with Swampy Town. If you rehabilitate that road and you send the Josie Hill bus, which comes up Bourbon Highway, on which there are no houses, so really and truly it's a trip that could be better used, send them through that road, rehabilitate the road, of course, send them through that road. Now the residents at Swampy Town no longer have to take what is close to half a mile walk from St. Lucie's Church to get home. That will also be a benefit to the residents of Trents and Hannah St. Lucie, who have a similar walk. One can well imagine coming from Spicestown with arms full of groceries on the weekend. God forbid the rainfall. We would like in 2025 to alleviate that issue and give those residents the opportunity to have a bus service passing their homes. Now, further to that, I would suggest that you make St. Lucie's Church a mini bus depot, similar to what exists at Oystins, where you can have all of the buses in St. Lucie coming through St. Lucie's Church. So the only thing you would need to do that at this point in time, Josie Hill comes through, Pike Corner already comes through, St. Lucie's Church comes through. Connelltown, if it is coming direct, will not come through here. But what you can do, as what happens when the Connelltown and Josie Hill routes are joined together, you can come up to the church and you can come back down. What that would then mean is that you could get to anywhere in St. Lucie once you get to St. Lucie's Church, because all of the buses would then come through St. Lucie's Church. Now, where we would locate such a depot, I cannot tell you, but the exchange, yes. Does that land belong to the church? I was wondering if the land belongs to the church. Perhaps the church, I don't know if the rector of St. Lucie is here. I know we have a new rector. You're on the council. So perhaps you can let the good reverend know that the government might be interested in acquiring that parcel of land in front of the old telephone exchange, to make a mini bus depot. When that mini bus depot comes on stream, of course, you're going to have some public toilets there as well, and we can have a few kiosks. And what those kiosks are going to do is allow the lady from Swampy Town who sells at the Four Cross to now come in to what will be the beginning of a city center of St. Lucie and sell her fruits and vegetables at that kiosk. So those are just a few ideas in terms of transportation. Now let me get transportation into education. Critically, this rerouting of the bus service in St. Lucie and the creation of a depot at St. Lucie's Church also connects the St. Lucie's Primary School and the Daryll Jordan School, which we now sit to the bus route. So the challenge that we have now, Mr. Morrison identified me as a teacher at that school. The challenge you have now is that it is what we call a school bus school. Basically, when the school buses leave, that's it. There's no way to get in or out. So it becomes difficult to have after-school activities and so forth. The St. Lucie Primary School had a Christmas activity, which made it to the news, where they had a lighting ceremony. It preceded the one at Farley Hill. But the challenge was, at the end of that lighting ceremony, we had to interact with some of the local PSV operators and say, well, you know, we had an activity. We know how some people, if you could at least get into Spicestown. We would want not to have that challenge next year when we have the same activity. We would want that the bus service comes right through here, so when it is finished, the people can have the comfort of knowing, well, I don't have to worry about how I'm getting home. I can just wait for the bus to come up, go across by the church, get off, get on to my bus, which is taking me to Pike Corner or wherever the case may be, and I am home. The apolitical party, which I will not identify, also had the benefit of using this very hall for their general conference. And I am sure, as Mr. Morris said, that it is the best school hall in Barbados. Now, I have had the opportunity to go to a number of these school halls, and none can accommodate what this hall can. As a matter of fact, I was heartened to see the configuration which mirrored what we see at Archers Bay, where we have the nice backdrop as opposed to facing the stage. There are not many school halls that can allow for that. And I do recall Prime Minister saying at the last Parish Speaks that this hall needs to be used for more things. I know the Calypso thing that came down during crop over, and they had a relatively good turnout and so on and so forth, but they could have had a bigger turnout. Why didn't they have a bigger turnout? Again, the challenge is getting out here. So if you have a car, not a problem. You could go over Buddy's school. But if you have to consider walking close to half mile in the dark from St. Lucy's Church, there are no houses in between here, it then becomes a more serious consideration. And it's one, as I said, we like to eliminate. What it will also do, it now opens up this hall as a space for cultural activities. We can have more shows, and the Senrola of the PIC knows well what I'm talking about. They have a lot of activities here. As everybody knows, the St. Lucie PIC and Parish Ambassadors dominate that program. But a lot of people in St. Lucie don't get a chance to come and support the program because of the transportation issues. So when you solve that transportation issue by simply rehabilitating that road and rerouting the buses, people can now come to these activities. More cultural activities can be hosted in St. Lucie. And critically, the pasture, which is to the east of this hall, it is one of the few grass tracks in Barbados, grass fields in Barbados pastures that can accommodate 400 meters. Genuine 400 meters. Not 85 on the straight. Genuine 400 meters. It is one of the few in Barbados. I stand corrected, but I think St. George Secondary might be the only other school that can accommodate a genuine 400 meter track. But it is underutilized. And why is that so? The same issue of being able to reach it. So if I want to have an after-school track and field program, I would have to have the buy-in and the cooperation of parents who have vehicles. This is rural Barbados. There are a lot of people who don't have that facility, that access, so you can't have an after-school program. The secondary school like to do similar. They have older children who may be able to go on the road on their own and seek public transportation over by the church. I, in good conscience, cannot ask primary school-age children to leave here, walk across to the church by themselves, and then find their way home. It would not be the best thing to do. So remain a school bus school. So if we can reroute the transportation, we open up this school, we open up that playing field, which I am told requires some investment of a significant number. I will not divulge the number that I was told, but it's significant. However, if we do that, if you could look at that facility, not only 400 meters cricket is played there, football is held there. You have, I don't know who the owner of the land surrounding the field are. I don't know who the owners are, but you have room for development for bleachers. You have room for development for a community center. You have room for development for a gym. Importantly, there's an access road. It's currently a cart road, which is to the south of the Daryll Jordan School plant. So already you have an access route into the pasture, which makes it easy now for setting up a various infrastructure. I believe you could even host the Pick of the Crop finals there. And one of the things we saw at We Gathering 2020 was that you could basically stage anything, anywhere. We had one of the biggest concerts ever in Barbados at Chaka Hall for Errol Barrow's 100th birthday. So it's not too far a stretch of the imagination to imagine you can do something similar here. As I said, significant resources will be needed to build out the facility to get the field up to scratch. But it also means we can have more track and field meets here, grass meets, similar to what's happening at St. George Secondary School. So let me tie that into the depopulation issue that we are having at this school. As long as these facilities remain disconnected from the bus route, they remain largely inaccessible to those without access to transportation, which is a significant portion of our population who could make use of them, not least of all the school children who are seldom in possession of their own personal transportation. So this now ties into our long-term infrastructural goals. So let me fast forward to the issue at the schools and tie it back in. So there's a school population crisis. I didn't plan on speaking on this particular issue, but the news item was run. So I suspect that it was a call to bring forth some ideas to try to alleviate this challenge. So I've identified 5 major issues causing this depopulation of schools in St. Lucie. Number one, of course, is a national issue. There's a decrease in childbirths, and we have an aging population that is well known and well ventilated. That is the problem. The solution to that I'm offering is to make housing and other amenities more affordable so that persons can afford to have children. There are a lot of Barbadians, this is not a joke, there are a lot of Barbadians in their mid-30s rather, who are still trying to get themselves together. And they do not want to put themselves in a position where they don't have certain things in place. We've educated them, we've exposed them to university education and different career options and so on, and they've now found themselves in a position where I don't want to have a child unless I know I have my own home, etc., etc. So we need to have affordable housing and amenities, and I'm going to tie that back into what we want to see in St. Lucie as well. The next thing here is urban drift. A lot of persons move out of the parish and other rural parishes to seek housing solutions in other parishes. For example, there are quite a few in St. Peter. You have the development there next to Trimart. You have Mount Breveter. You have Fort Hills. Affordable housing, houses in the range of $200,000, which the average family could reasonably afford. I don't know where in St. Lucie you could find a similar housing project. There's Friendly Hall. I know there's some on stream for Hope at Coconut Hall and I think Fustic, is it? Right. But we want to see some more, and perhaps if we could get the private sector involved as well, that would be good, so that people really and truly, somebody earning on their own or with a partner, if they're looking for affordable housing, they have to look to St. Philip. Those housing projects you have at 6 Roads and so on is where you're going to find those houses in that price range. You can't look at a man who is earning a one salary or a couple still having a child to raise and tell them go on the private market in areas like Friendly Hall where you might be looking at maybe 300,000 upwards, right? It becomes difficult then. So if you can have those affordable housing solutions, that would stop some of the urban drift. Brain drain. Parents work outside of parish. MP knows this well because he would have worked in the city. And there are lots of St. Lucie people who are forced to earn their living in the city, so they have to leave St. Lucie. It also means that they take their children with them and have them educated at schools closer to their workplaces, and that is only fair. Emergencies can happen. Not only that, if I'm leaving home at 7 to get work at 8, there's no school I can leave my child at 7. And the solution, one of the solutions there, I see the Minister of Education is also sitting to my left. Nice to meet you, ma'am. Is to have before and after care services. I've been fortunate to earn my living at a number of schools across Barbados. Some of them have had those programs before and after care. 7 to 5. It gives the parent that flexibility to drop off a child, get to work, get back to the school, and get their child home. Number 4, the stigma, and I believe one of my colleagues will speak to stigma associated with rural schools being not as successful as urban schools. This is a knock-on effect of the brain drain of which I just spoke, where oftentimes the best resources are going out of parish. I'll share an anecdote on this particular point to strengthen it. I had the opportunity, the privilege really, because of the success of one of my students in a track and field event, to be at the knapsack final in that event. At the end of that final, the top 3 girls won the 3rd. Bronze went to St. Lucie Primary. Silver went to another school. Gold went to another school. All 3 of the girls live in St. Lucie. All 3 of the girls live in St. Lucie, and not only live in St. Lucie, within a couple of miles of St. Lucie's primary school. But one was representing a school in the West, and they say no more on that. And one was representing another school in the West. So what we are calling for no minister is for the Ministry of Education has to assist us also in keeping some of our talent in parish. And what I mean when I say that is there are legitimate reasons that you might want to have your child educated out of parish. As I said before, if Mr. Phillips is working in town, he wants his child at Charles F. Brooms or wherever this, which is close. I just mentioned Charles F. Brooms, no special reason for that, but just because it's close. However, there are persons who are taking their children out of parish and they have no legitimate reason other than the stigma that I mentioned. And what they're actually doing is contributing to the stigma. They're taking the best resources out of St. Lucie, sending it to other schools. They're doing well there, and then the ones who remain are not able to come together and make such a concerted effort. So we want to ask then, in terms of solutions where the stigma is concerned, to ask the ministry to be more stringent with the vetting of students who are being located out of their catchment area. And I see minister writing, so. The fifth point is a continuance of that point, overcrowding in schools. There are several schools who have had to actually renovate their school plants and add buildings to accommodate the groundswell of students who now want to be a part of their schools. While they don't have any specific problem with that, the problem comes when it then depopulates the schools like Half Moon Fort, St. Lucie's Primary, Ignatius Bayer, which is a plant that was built in the 90s, and I'm told it was built to accommodate around 400 or 500 students. There are less than 100 there now. St. Lucie Primary School, when I was a student, and I mentioned the Open Ignatius Bayer as Minister of Education. I went to St. Lucie Primary School myself, and when I went there, it was around 400 strong. The beacon sat on the hill, and now the numbers have fallen for a number of reasons which I have outlined. So I hope that I've been able to offer some solutions to all of those problems I would have identified, and I want to come back very quickly to the long-term infrastructural goals. So as a knock-on from having that bus service, there was, as far as I understand, to be a housing project between the Daryll Jordan School here in Trent and Meridian Windows there in Nestfield. Now, if that housing project comes on stream, you're solving several problems. I can now get that $200,000 or less house close to my place of work. If I get children, guess where school they're going to? It is now within walking distance of where I live. So if we can get a housing project here, more people living in parish within the direct vicinity of this school, and we have affordable and reliable transportation, because that also is a consideration when one chooses where you want to live. The day my car don't start, I need to be able to get to work. So I'm going to move to Haywoods or Golden Mile or somewhere that I know I can still walk to the bus stop. But if I'm in St. Lucie and my car don't start, I have problems. But if I have reliable bus service and I have an affordable home, it means then that I can now remain in parish instead of relocating. And I could get a lot more children too, because it becomes easy now for me to facilitate their movements. As a result, this school, which Mr. Morris said only accommodating 400 odd now, knock-on effect. If I have a secondary school age child in the area, and this school, I must applaud, I see one of the board members sitting here, and several members of staff, fantastic program for years, returning fifth, where children come from all secondary schools. I know people who came far from Leicester Vaughan here to do subjects and so on and so forth, and they also have a very good tech VOC program as well. So those persons then are able to come here because there's reliable bus service, there's the housing and so on there. I'm going to tie these final two issues into the housing that we would like to have. And long term, I like to see the housing, I don't know who the lands belong to, but I like to see that housing not only go from Trent to Nestfield, but on to Fairfield and all the way across to Allendale. And I'll say this, there is a cry in Barbados every time you attempt to say change the use of land from agricultural land to housing. A cry, an uproar is thrown. The uproar often comes from people who grew up on more than a couple thousand square feet. They do not in their uproar look at the lands which are now under use, under development, and not only that, Minister, causing a nuisance. So it brings me to my next issue. Now I want to say, Minister, I have no political axe to grind. I have no political ambition. However, I have considered in the recent past becoming a founder member and president of an organization called BACI, Bajans against Courage. And while it may be a light moment, it is a sore one as well, pun intended. The scourge of Courage in 2025 in this republic, Prime Minister, I believe is unacceptable. We cannot have persons gathering and have them itching as well. The residents of St. Lucie and other parts of rural Barbados, annually, especially during the dry season, we are afflicted with Courage. As a matter of fact, this very school in which we now sit and the school next door had to be closed very recently to clean up the Courage. That housing project of which I spoke is not going to be very attractive if people are paying a mortgage and having to sit in the discomfort of their homes. Therefore, I believe that we need to, I said I was going to offer a solution. If the legislation does not now exist, I see the Attorney General is with us. If the legislation does not now exist, we need to move with haste to get it through Parliament, and the highest possible fine which can be given to those landowners who have coverage on their lands needs to be implemented so that we can remove the scourge of coverage from St. Lucie and the rest of rural Barbados. I shudder to think if the coverage takes the route of the now ubiquitous Mayamossi, which made its way from the rural areas and now is all over town too. Courage travels similarly. I'm no botanist like the guy on the $2 bill, but Courage travels similarly. And once it lands and it takes roots, I'm told it's very difficult to get rid of. So we need to, at the risk of being called a plagiarist, we need to face it and fix it. We need to face it and fix it. The last thing that I am going to mention is the water situation in St. Lucie. But I'm giving a solution. Your solution might not be my solution, sir. My answer might be different to yours. Now, first of all, I see BWA officials here. Mr. Eiffel, also a good St. Lucie resident. And Prime Minister has asked us to bear with the BWA. We've done that. And we understand that the work is ongoing. And some improvements have been made. They must be congratulated for having the community tanks, which I myself often make use of. However, everybody does not have one close enough to them that they can make similar use of it, or a vehicle where they could take the receptacles to be filled. If I had to walk, it would be something of a challenge. What I'm therefore asking Prime Minister and the Minister who may be responsible, as well as the senior persons from BWA, is if we can have what I call, I want to get the term right, because I want the terminology to spread far and wide, and I want it to take over that particular initiative. We want to have a discoloration discount for the residents of St. Lucie. A discoloration discount for the residents of St. Lucie. So while we bear with the BWA in fixing the challenge, there are persons who have to buy bottled water in significant quantities. There are persons who have to replace white clothing in significant quantities. Can't wash white clothing. Who might have expensive fittings such as mowing and others in their homes, and their toilets do not reflect the price that they paid for because of the discolored water. How we are going to implement the discoloration discount, I don't know. It could be a monthly rebate. It could be something that is done annually. It could be done quarterly. I'm not sure. But the people of St. Lucie and all over rural Barbados who are faced with the challenge of discolored water deserve to have a discoloration discount. With these few words, Prime Minister and other ministers and those gathered, I'm obliged to you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Prime Minister, are you going to respond? We continue? Okay.
Good night, all. Thanks very much, Andre. I think that was, by the way, sorry, apologies. My name is Jonathan Reed. I'm Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister, but I'm really here to share ideas and really engage with you. Andre, I was quite moved by a lot of the thoughts that you had. One thing I will share, perhaps it's not good form to be brainstorming in public on certain things, But regarding your suggestion around transportation, it struck me as an opportunity to share with the public that we've been going back and forth a lot about the usage of technology around transportation and implementing simple technologies that allow people to have a better quality, a better quality service and experience. The Transport Board is pretty close to be rolling out a new platform that will allow people from wherever they want to travel to understand what bus is near to them, the timelines around arrival to them, so they can plan their business better. We think it's a fundamental good that could be brought to people of Barbados so they're not waiting on the roads and the highways and the byways and run rain and sun and all range of different things, and usage of simple technology to be able to do that. One of the things you said that came to mind is maybe an on-demand system that allows people, whether a route has not been set, but there's a simple way of allowing people to ping to indicate their interest of a group of people in the area, and therefore some minor of rerouting may be possible. I'm brainstorming a little bit in public, but obviously this is what this idea forum is about. But you'll have my commitment to speak to the good folks at Transport Authority to be able to build out some of these ideas. Roy said that there was a special guest we had in mind. We felt it was a little bit in a different format to not only encourage residents of the parish to speak, but also residents in the commercial sector. Have business folks who are part of the society, part of the parish, and their business is highly driven by what the residents think, how the employees operate in the space, to have a strong participation of it. So tonight we're thankful to have the new MD for Maunge, Antoine. We invite you to the podium to have a conversation with us about some of your ideas as a commercial resident of the space.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So, Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Amor-Motley, other government officials, residents of St. Lucie, visitors to this lovely parish, members of the media, all attendees, good evening. It is indeed an honor to be here with you today. And first, I would like to extend our thanks to the Prime Minister Motley for including us into this inaugural Ideas Forum and for providing us with this unique opportunity to share some of the work that we are doing at Maunge. And indeed, we look forward to the discussion ahead and the opportunity to reflect and brainstorm on ideas and initiatives that will contribute to the development of the parish of St. Lucie. This evening, I basically would like to focus on 3 key pillars that are essential to Maunge. Number 1 is about people and community, and I will develop it further. Number 2 is about sustainability. And the third one is about economic and tourism development. These pillars serve as a framework through which we strive to make a meaningful contribution to the broader development of Barbados. But let me start with the first pillar, which is about people and community support. At the heart of our work is the community. At Maunge, we take pride in actively contributing to the well-being of the people and that works in our parish and beyond. And I wish to expand on some ways that we are trying to make a difference. So number 1 is about employment. We are dedicated to creating job opportunities within the community, and over the years, we have proudly provided employment for many Barbadians. Specific to St. Lucie, most of our distillers and agricultural workers are from here in this parish. So this not only contributes to the livelihood of families, but it also helps to strengthen the fabric of our local economy. Then comes education. We recognize the critical role that education and research play in driving sustainable progress. And to support this, we collaborate with 2 of the tertiary institutions on the island, the University of the West Indies and the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Technology. We try to provide to these students with hands-on experiences in various agriculture-related fields. So this include a range of topics such as planting, tree crop production, land and soil management, beekeeping, and so on. And basically, our land serves as practical learning environment, what can be named live classroom, where all the students can come and experiment and apply what they are learning at school. So we plan to increase this contribution by offering more internship and scholarship from this year moving on. Third thing is about community participation and special projects. You might know that our Oxford estate, we host annual pea picking events where we invite members of our neighboring communities to come together for an activity which helps to promote unity and foster a sense of togetherness. So we have also created a sort of farmers market where we invite our neighbors to our estate where they can purchase fresh product at reduced prices. Over the years, Mongay has been actively involved in a number of cleanup and beautification initiatives across the island with many beach and land cleanup and also tree planting initiatives. And in St. Lucie, we have contributed to the refurbishment of the Charlie Griffith Sports Center as well as the enhancement of the environs of the Mongay village. We are also currently exploring revisiting these and other projects in the near future in our ongoing effort to continuously give back to the community. Another example of this commitment is our support to a number of charitable organizations and activities. One such initiative, which is particularly special to us at Mongay, is our partnership with the Verdun and Marina House for their annual charity fundraising concert. I just pinpoint this one because it took place, I think it was last week, and it was a huge success. And this partnership naturally leads me to expand on our campaign to encourage and promote responsible drinking. So this commitment is, very important for us, is embedded into all our marketing and advertising efforts. So an example of how we put this into action is our work together with the National Council on Substance Abuse and Pick Up Barbados to encourage people to drink responsibly and use alternative transportation instead of driving when necessary. Then I would like to elaborate a little bit about the second pillar, which is about sustainability, which for us is of course very, very important. And I would like to share just a few initiatives. Number one, our efforts in waste management are particularly obvious through the new bottle recycling campaign. We recently started to work directly with rum shops, with restaurants, with hotels, visiting them to encourage them to recycle used Mongay bottles. Since then, this project has expanded to the wider community, and we definitely encourage people to return, recycle, and earn as part of our commitment to reduce the carbon footprint and taking our efforts to make Barbados greener. So to this end, we have partnered with Bees Recycling, where you can receive incentive for each bottle that people will return. So we encourage all of us to play our part in this waste recycling initiative. We also recognize that we can succeed only if we play it all together. Inclusivity is extremely important, and being able to coordinate with all the stakeholders is essential. We are also investing into solar power. So solar system is something that is extremely important. We began to install 8 years ago solar system, which now covers most of our roof at Mongay, at the distillery in St. Lucie. We are exploring further partnership to develop a 5 megawatt solar farm, and all this will help us to keep improving and reduce the impact that we have on our environment. Then the third pillar, and maybe that's the big idea that I would like to emphasize tonight, is about investment, economic and tourism development. So over the past few years, we have indeed invested in modernizing our production tools to boost efficiency. We have expanded our capacities. We just opened a new aging bond. We have also recently commissioned our own molasses mill, which allows us to produce 100% homegrown Barbadian molasses. So this is unique, and it allows us to master each step of our production process from soil to sip. These, along with our other investment in people, community, and sustainability, not only benefit our business, but also contribute to the local economy as well, I believe. And this is why I firmly believe in the power of collaboration, particularly when it comes to driving economic growth. And in this context of the rum industry, it is crucial that all the stakeholders, government, private sector, communities, work together to build a sustainable and competitive rum industry that benefits to all. That indeed brings me to an important topic of the geographical indication for Barbados rum. At Mount we are strong advocates for establishing a GI, and we believe it is essential to protect and promote our rum heritage, and we are committed to advancing this process forward all together. Tourism development is another area that is particularly close to us. You know, I believe that Mount is not just a distillery, it's a complete cultural experience. And to this end, one of the areas we are continuously working on is our tours, which not only attract many tourists to the parish of St. Lucie, but also help to drive tourism. We are always seeking ways to improve these experiences to ensure that they showcase the rich history and heritage of rum production in Barbados. And as part of these efforts, we hosted numerous open days. The most recent one took place under the We Gathering initiative 2 weeks ago. And during this activity, we gladly opened our doors to local and visitors. And it was a great success. More than 600 people showed up on this Saturday. So a great opportunity to learn about the history and to understand what is the vital role that St. Lucie played in the history of Barbados rum and the deep connection it has to Mount Gay. So this is our intention, to build on these efforts and to do more of these open days. However, it calls for collaboration, support in areas such as transportations and other infrastructure, as our long-term goal is to create an ecosystem here in St. Lucie, where visitors come not only to Mount Gay, but they also explore the beauty and history of the parish. In short, you understood, I think our objective is basically to bring more people to the parish of St. Lucie. And we are confident that this program, along with everything that is done with the story of sugar and rum, as well as all the partnership with the BTMI and the partnership with the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, will provide the perfect channels to achieve these goals. So ultimately, this not only benefit to our business, but it will have a positive impact on the parish, on the people, on the businesses, and by large, on the local economy. So in conclusion, what I have shared with you tonight represent just a few initiatives that we have implemented and are interested to pursue at Mount Gay, with this specific focus on the parish of St. Lucie. And I can assure you that we remain deeply committed to supporting our community, preserving our environment and driving economic development here in the parish and across Barbados. But we will succeed only if we are able to collaborate all together. I think this is, the main topic. If tomorrow we bring more people to visit the distillery, we need support, we need infrastructure, we need to partner with local businesses, restaurants, rum shops, and so on, so that people can stay much longer than only 1 hour at the distillery, and so that it can benefit to the entire community. Voilà, so this is, let's say, my big idea for tonight that we wanted to share on behalf of Mount Gay. Thank you very much.
Anton, thank you very much for that. I wanted to connect with some of the things that you just said, and then Andre mentioned initially. In the conceptualization of the Ideas Forum, we went back and forth quite a bit with the organizing team, thinking about what were the immediate benefits we could bring in terms of ideas to a parish. And one of the things that, not a resident, but someone who's here tonight was very strong on was the idea of building out parish economies. And he felt very strongly that there was an opportunity between all the experimentation around energy in St. Lucie, as well as obviously being the home of rum, there was a dynamic industrial plan that could be developed out of the parish, and an economy that could be built around fermentation along with energy. That I know he's not a resident, but I'm begging a little bit of indulgence to ask Mark Hill to come to the mic to speak a little bit about some of those ideas and just kind of get some ideas flowing on that.
Good night, everyone. Yeah, it won't be long. But as Jonathan was pointing out, while I'm not from St. Lucie, I did a lot of work in St. Lucie. And the technology platform that can really be developed in this space would be called fermentology. So we're taking the roadside grass, the culvage, the chicken manure, all these different things, and we're converting them to natural gas, renewable natural gas, as one solution. In addition to that, I'm currently working with my brother over here with our Sea Moss Farm, all St. Lucie, so we can also look at marine biomass as well. So there's a lot of parish-based opportunities because with Mount Gibb being here, we can leverage that platform and roll it across to bring a lot of, we call beacon development to the particular space. So we will speak about it in more in depth, but we really want to hear from the residents so that we can get some really ideas as well. Yeah. So at Newton, for example, we're building, we call it a spaceship, but that is a life science hub, because Barbados' core competency for the past 300 and something years is around the life sciences. So taking sugarcane through the same fermentology process and producing rum. And so the life sciences now allow us to use that core skill and the competency of our students who primarily do biology, chemistry at the University of West Indies, because most Bajans either want to be lawyers or doctors. So most of them end up doing biochemistry, biology. And therefore, we're creating this hub where they can do their entrepreneurship activities and also where we can get foreign direct investors in the area of science to come in and build out our economy in a stronger way at Newton. So there's a lot of development that's happening. And our Prime Minister will also speak to the fact that we're looking to have industrial development to augment what's happening up here just around the corner. So there's a lot of scope, but we want to hear from the folks so we can add to what you have going forward. Yeah, thank you very much.
You didn't speak about your biodigester and the conversion of your roadside grass and the cowage to energy.
So that project actually happened right here in St. Lucie. That's where myself and Prime Minister, during rubbing shoulders, herself and her team came up. And just short down the road, one of the biggest biogas plants in the Caribbean is built right here on the Starchip Farm. And that was converting the chicken manure waste into biomethane right here and running the facility. So we want to expand that in this particular space so we can incorporate that technology to help drive down the cost of energy, allow for higher levels of renewable energy penetration. So there's a lot of scope for this parish using this type of technology going forward. Yeah? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hill. All right, so now we're going to go to those of you who have been anxious to get to the mic. Now, I have 16 persons on my list, but I also know that some of these are submissions that came in online. So whoever has the first number from the desk, then I will be able to pick back up from here. What number are you? Number 1? Okay. What's the name? Go ahead. Introduce yourself and then proceed.
Hi, good night. My name is Kadeem Brewster.
Okay. No.
I would like to just address the Prime Minister, Mia Motley, and all other ministers. I came here tonight to speak about the debushing in St. Lucie. Now, I am the leading contractor debushing in St. Lucie for the Barbados Beautification Project. And earlier, Andre was speaking about something that we have to face on a regular basis, which is coach and the river tamarind trees. Now, I have a phobia for river tamarind trees and coach. Now, there's another plant that is in there that they are not speaking about. There is a vine that works just like the coach. And when it touches you, you're going to get on the same way like if coach touch it. And my workers, I do not let them play around coach. So if any of you see bush that is not being debushed, there's a reason for that, because we're not going to touch it. Now, what I am looking at is that after these things are getting debushed, these trees and so forth, I was looking at a theme that piqued my interest for the last 2 years, in planting lime trees for the parish of St. Lucie, and St. Peter will be planting pawpaw trees, or St. James will have the theme of planting soursop trees. And this interest piqued me when I was driving across the highway, like going to the airport. I saw palm trees on the road, and I was like, there are people in Barbados that are hungry, and this could actually beat down prices with vegetables. Instead of planting palm trees, you know what? Plant fruit trees instead. So instead of letting the grass take over or the trees take over, I believe that fruit trees could be replaced instead of these wild trees. Saying that, anybody the contractor that is dealing with the parish, which in we stick with St. Lucie, I believe that they should maintain these trees in terms of trimming them and fertilizing them, etc. My second point I want to get at, I was looking at if it's possible, I'm not sure if in Spring Hall or behind where the Crab Hill Police Station is, looking at a 4-acre dam. Now, farmers, and doing the beautification project, as I go through, I talk with farmers. Every farmer complains about one thing: water. And I believe, and I know St. Lucie have the land that this can be executed. I believe that a dam can be built to store water, especially like 3 to 4 acres of water. And this should actually lessen down on the prices of food, crops, livestock, you name it. Also, this dam will be running off of off-grid solar system, basically between 150 kilowatt to 200 kilowatt to run the pump. Also, thirdly, I was looking at solar streetlights and solar signs for the dark areas of St. Lucie. Now, as far as I see in my 31 years, things have changed rapidly, especially for the past 4 years. There's a lot of killing and there's a lot of thieving. And I think that having lights in these farms and on the roadsides, I believe that this could help minimize these crimes. And that's all I have for right now, because I know time is of the essence and other people need to talk.
Thanks, Kadeem. But before you say, there are 2 things you said. The first one relating to the vine, you didn't identify it. What was?
I have no idea the name of the vine.
Do you have a photograph or anything? Anybody else knows what?
Well, not on me right now, but
could you share a photograph with us?
Sure, I can share it later.
All right. And the second thing, in relation to the dam, what would be the source of water? Is there a stream running through, or is there a source of water for the dam?
Well, when the rain falls in St. Lucie, they get a lot of floods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's next? Have a Hugh with us.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the Honorable Prime Minister and her cabinet, and to all parliamentary representatives. Good evening also to members of St. Lucie, and to the head table. I am a teacher at Ignatius Barre Primary School. My name is Hugh Anthony Griffith. I have been there for pretty much close to 21 years now. This morning, I received an award for my outstanding achievements, my contribution to education. You can hold that applause. Thank you very much. First of all, I just want to just say this though. Thank you very much. It's truly an honor to receive that award, but you know what is disheartening? Even after receiving the award, even when I heard that I was receiving this award, you know what really was on my mind? When I first got to Ignatius Barre Primary School, I feel like I want to turn around and face you guys. When I first got to Ignatius Barre Primary School, there were close to 200 plus children. I lived in St. Lucie all my life, and I did not even know about Ignatius Barre Primary School until I started a program called the Music in Primary Schools Training Program. Mr. Lane's sister, Brittany Lane, was one of the most outstanding children in that program. That was funded by the National Cultural Foundation. And I want to say that when I went to the NCF with this idea, it's a funny story, but I won't go into the story. I want to stick to the facts. When I got to the NCF, the gentleman, the cultural officer for music at the time, Mr. Ronald Davis, said to me that he had this idea also to start a program in the North, a music program. He told me to pick 3 schools, so I looked in the phone book for schools in St. Lucie, and that's how I found out about Ignatius Barre Primary School, even though I lived in St. Lucie all my life. Now, Mr. Lane alluded to brain drain. I'm not tooting my horn, so what? I went to Queen's College. You don't have to applaud. I went to Queen's College, but I went to Wesley Hall also. These are not in St. Lucie. The reason being, Mr. Lane also alluded to, my mother worked at Barclays Bank. Notice I didn't say First Caribbean, so you can tell the age. My mother worked at Barclays Bank in town. So it was easier for her to drop me off at Wesley Hall Primary School rather than to put me at St. Lucie Primary or somewhere else for safety. I was a big boy, but I was a baby at heart. The thing is, I'm saying all this to say that even though I went to Queen's College and went to all these other schools in other parishes, there's some words in my song, in one of my songs. It says, no matter the school or subjects we do, we can all get through. All we need is encouragement from you. And my children sing these songs at NIFCA almost every year. At the same NCF camp, I wrote some of these songs. At the same NCF program, I wrote some of these songs. I brought them to Ignatius Barre Primary School over the years. Remember, I said Ignatius Barre had over 200 children when I first got there. I was told then that we had 4 houses. I'm going to speak a lot about Ignatius Barre, forgive me. I 21 years. There were 4 houses, red, yellow, green, and blue. I was told to, as music and PE teacher, or a co-PE teacher at the time, because there were 2 other teachers taking part of the PE program, Mr. L. Griffith, Louis Griffith at the time, and then coming on later on, Terry Carrington. We were told to change it to 3 houses. We decided, well, since red and all the primary colors were pretty much used, let's go secondary colors. They chose orange, purple, and then they couldn't decide on the 3rd one for a long time. Eventually, they couldn't decide on the 3rd one for a long time. I see Tesla, one of my students. I'm telling you the story here, but you know part of it. They came up with all kind of colors. Gray, no, gray too dull. Pink, no, pink too for girls. All kind of strange things. Like blue, no. Eventually they came up with beige. You may laugh at all these, but these are things that happen at Ignatius Barre. But that was still over 200 children then. 3 houses. I looked at a document I had on my phone recently from 2013 where I assessed. I didn't have to. There's no mandate that tells me I have to assess any children in music. I'm just saying this. That has to do with ministries and the infrastructure now. But I assessed in music theory, in singing, in drumming, 183 children now, fast forward a little bit, in 2013. Already, that was the whole school, by the way. You see a declining role. I'm saying all this for a reason. I'm getting to a point. We had 3 houses at that time still. The beige eventually got changed to gold. And gold house, by the way, didn't win sports for a number of years. But that's another by the way story. Currently, I was told by social media, by the principal, our role is very much close to 53 right now. You said less than 50. Whether it's less than 50 or 53, neither here nor there compared to 183 in 2013, compared to over 200 when they first got there. We have 2 houses though, red and blue. Some people don't know that. This is our first school sports now with 2 houses this year. So when I received that award this morning, like a true teacher, I'm going to link all these stories. I was proud of my achievements. But it hurts me to the core to see where Ignatius Bar has fallen. And there are several factors that have contributed to this, in my opinion. Notice I said, in my opinion. First of all, yes, Mr. Lane alluded to transportation. He mentioned brain drain. He mentioned things like the bus routes, water, aging population. All these things are factors, yes. But specific to Ignatius Bar Primary School, I think there's several other factors that need to be mentioned. This, however, may not be the forum for me to discuss them in depth. I will allude to them briefly. Let me get my notes. And by the way, some of these may also be affecting other schools, but I do not know. I've only been at Ignatius Bar for the last 20 years. Number 1, I think one of the major problems affecting Ignatius Bar currently is a negative stigma of the school. I would like to hear more applause. A negative stigma of the school. When I first got to Ignatius Bar, there were certain teachers there who I did not know. I got to befriend some. I chose some as mentors because they guided me. They showed me things to do. They helped me. Mr. William Grisette, the principal at the time, was very good at what he did. He listened well. He managed well. He was able to communicate well. After he left, I digress. Remember I said I cannot go in depth in what I really want to say. After he left, he leaves this. Our school has been dealing with a tarnished reputation due to some other teachers as well. It's sad to say. And I can't say I am not here to belittle colleagues, because I see many colleagues also doing very well, doing their work, managing their scheme books, doing their utmost to impart a wonderful education on the children at Ignatius Bar Primary School. But when someone believes that a colleague of mine is not doing well, rather than them deal with the matter in an appropriate way, they perceive the ineffectiveness of that teacher and take it to somewhere else, spread this stigma, and pull down the image of our school. I'm saying a good little meeting, a forum, a discussion could have been had, rather than pull down the image or transfer your child and then speak badly about the school. And these are some of the things that are happening at Ignatius Bar Primary School. Lack of proper communication, maybe coming from other heads who have come after Mr. Grisette. Maybe, I said maybe, I'm saying it again. It's just my opinion. Maybe this has been one of the problems. And I want to say something here. I had a personal issue also with one of the heads. This is a personal issue. And I'm going to speak a little bit about this. I handled
want
it.
to be a little bit careful about how
I'm very, trust me.
Okay.
I'm just saying that I dealt with it in what I believe was the appropriate manner.
And also,
Yes,
I'm hoping
please.
that you're driving towards ideas to solve some
For
of the
sure.
problems.
I'm getting all there, sir. I dealt with it in what I believe was the appropriate manner. I spoke to her about it, the issue that I had. I spoke to the education officer as to what I should do. I submitted a report. I gave the screenshots of what was said, and I was really hurt by it, by what was said, by the way. And in all of that, no one reached out to me afterwards to say to me, Mr. Griffith, are you at least okay? I'm not even getting to the part about solving the issue. No one reached out to me. And, it had me feeling really aggrieved at that point in time. So, and I'm only one example. What if that happens with some of our parents or some of our teachers who have other problems? These could be some of the reasons why parents don't want to go through the right channels also, because they may say it may take too long to get to these solutions. And I wish that this can happen in an expeditious manner. That when you do things the right way, when you speak to the relevant authorities, and you state your grievances, and you actually have them documented, you have evidence. You don't get in front of the ministry with a diaper and do no, that's wrong. But you do have a point to make about certain people and about certain things that were said. If it is done in the right way, please at least reach out to the person and deal with the issue. That's all I'm asking. These are one of many issues, right? Lack of transportation. Ignatiusburg had a school bus. Somewhere along the line between 2010 to 16, I didn't see a school bus anymore. Maybe our declining school roll was a factor, but I do not know why it was taken away, because some parents would even call me and tell me, Mr. Griffith, why is there no school bus? Josie Hill people would like to get to school. I see somebody back here. Is that true? I would like to hear it a little louder. So people want to know why there's no school bus, and Mr. Lane alluded to this. All these things we speak about, but we are having I would say a multiplicity of factors that affect our school. Management, to some extent, poor communication, to some extent, they're dealing with issues, the stigma that has been attached to this school. I'll give you one more story. I had a friend who saw me in 2010, and I saw her little child, and I looked at the little child and said, hey, are you going to bring her to Ignatius next year, because I know she lives in the area? She said, who, me? Not because of a certain teacher. I was like, but... And when she told me the name of the teacher, that teacher was not even at the school for 3 years. So even that perception of that parent, even though a teacher has left, and then just to say this, that teacher went on to other schools, by the way, and also they were reported issues. So there has to be some kind of check and balance. I am bold enough to say I would like you to check behind me too. And if I am willing to say that as a teacher, we should be able to check behind all of our workers, all of our employees. Because we should not fear being assessed. We should not fear being observed once it's done in a professional way. Because when we are not doing our job the correct way and it affects others, people will say negative things about us behind our back, and then you will see the transfers, you will see the roles declining. People will wizzy, as we will say in Bajan dialect, but then you don't hear the real issues coming to fore anymore because the matters are not being dealt with. So from 200 plus in 2004 when I first got there, 183 in 2013, where I assessed every child in music, to now 53 currently. But we have a whole entire new staff at Ignatiusburg Primary School except myself and maybe 2 other colleagues. But people on social media up to a couple days ago still saying, I can quote if I need to, but I'll paraphrase, the teachers and the curriculum, they're stating that we are not doing a good job still. These are not the same teachers that they're speaking about, in my opinion. So in my opinion, these are things that we need to address. On the MRD website, when I go there, I see a principal and a senior teacher still listed as the current ones also of Ignatiusburg. They are no longer there. So I'm just saying we need to update the records. We need to let people know. We created an Instagram page. I'm getting to solutions now, people. We created an Instagram page. Our school has taken part in a number of things over the last couple months, mainly in terms of music, but a lot of other things as well. Tree plantings, science expos, a number of things. We are publishing these publicly with the permission of the Ministry of Education, and we are showcasing that we are doing well. You're getting a few good comments. We take part in NIFCA. We were given 5 awards for 2 songs. 2 silvers, most entertaining, most best presentation, and the BTI award for a song that depicts what it means to be Barbadian, in a song called Issues and a song called Make the Right Choice. I am here to say I would like us to all make the right choice to deal with these issues that we have at Ignatiusburg and at other schools. And that's what I would like to see most of all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. very impassioned, very much driven by getting the best for your school. One of the things that I'm hopeful that we can do, taking energy from you as well as previous speakers, is connecting the issues with potential for ideas for solutions. I think it's rare for a prime minister and a cabinet colleagues to be sitting down wanting to receive in a space of saying, we're not a conduit for all solutions, and we want to be connected with what you think can best work in your situations. So I'm encouraging everyone who's coming next to, of course, express some difficulties that you have, but connected with the ideas you think could best work to solving those problems. And I really think we should stick to that and drive to it.
Hi, good night. I'm Kendra Hollingsworth Edwards, acknowledging Madam Prime Minister, government, and all those who attended tonight. Thank you for this forum. So people said a lot of things I had to say, so I'm just going to say yes to before and after care service. It is needed. Tying in what the first speaker said about the water into the school. I have to change white socks regular because of the brown water. And if it's really bad, even in the color clothes and black clothes, it's there. So tying it into the school. So as a parent, I have to be spending money more regular for school uniforms and school socks. So just tying that in so you connect it to why it's also important beyond having to spend money for water, from Glacier Pure or whatever, right? I want to say 3 important things for me. There's a challenge, but it's also a solution. Respect. We normally talk about respect from the parents' perspective to the teachers and those in authority. I think it also has to be from teachers and those in authority to the parents. And I've also observed how sometimes teachers talk down, how they speak to parents, and in a sense, how they also then talk to the child that belongs to the parents. And that's a big challenge, right? And I think one of the solutions is our teachers are very good with hard skills. They can deliver the topic. They got the teaching skills and everything down pat. But when it comes to soft skills, we talk about empathy, kindness, how to deal with stuff is lacking. And I think we need to, and sometimes for parents as well, because we get frustrated and we lash out. But I want to talk from the perspective of how those in authority at the school deal with parents, especially sometimes when they see parents who they might not think are educated and what's not. We need to have, and I'm talking from a parent and I'm also a teacher, soft skills. So that's one of the solutions for me in terms of bridging that gap. There's a big gap between parents and teachers, right? I paused because I thought you was going to say something. Go ahead.
No, I was hoping you would expand on what it is or what are the avenues for helping to build those soft skills as opposed to saying that there's a need for that. How do you get your
Well, I mean, I think individually persons should really take interest in their own personal development, be aware of their shortcomings, you understand? But I think as part of, I know we go Erdeston, you have TVET and stuff like that. If there's something that teachers can come to a program, but if it's leadership in terms of empathetic skills, soft skills and stuff like that there. That's as much as I can say at this point in time. But something in place because we push hard skills. Learn your teaching techniques, learn how to deliver a lesson plan. That's what we do. And teachers excel in that, we do. But our soft skills are lacking. Yeah, so I would say that is a challenge, and I think a solution would be helping us to develop that as part of our educational program, right? Funding for schools is very hard for me as a parent almost every week. Oh, we need $10 for this, $20 for this. So you're almost pulling from the same pool of funding from the parents, and it's hard, right? And I understand that the school needs to develop funds, right? And I'm not quite sure what the systems are in place, if they only have to depend on the government, can they pull on the private sectors? But it's kind of draining on parents. You know, every week we have to be pay for this, transport for this, and it's hard, right? Solutions need to be given in terms of, and I think the schools need a level of autonomy to say, okay, we are dependent on the government for funding, but we can also do this. Plant a garden, sell the produce to the community, right? Raise sheep, a cow, a goat, do the milk, I don't know. And even with Mr. Hill talking about, you know, a lot of the infrastructure, even at the early age of primary school, if you could introduce, for example, if you have 3 or 4 goats and you can produce the milk from it, but you're also you can connect with a business that come and show you how to make cheese or curd or yogurt within the primary school, which I think is also going to expand, because we kind of focus a lot on the academics, the maths, the science and stuff like that there, but things like this, because we have chefs at that age. My 9-year-old, sometimes he want to make an omelet for me. So, we can't say they're too young. Introduce that stuff at that age, right? And so it helps with the funding, so that the parents, you're not always pulling on the parents' resources, because it gets hard and tiring sometimes. So I would say funding is something that is critical. We have to look at and have the autonomy as a school. So you have a mandate from the government, yes, but I think, a school in the north has to be able to take, okay, this is our environment, this is the type of students, pupils we have in the school, how can we take that overarching mandate but make it unique for the school? So having that level of autonomy, because sometimes, at the PTA meeting, you give suggestions, but then you hear, oh, but we got to go to the ministry. We got to get permission from the ministry. We got to get permission from the ministry. Which I understand, but sometimes it becomes a bottleneck. If you understand what I mean, it becomes a bottleneck. If the ministry is saying, do this, you know that they're interested in the development of the school, the environment. Do you always have to go back to them and say, well, we want to plant a garden so we can sell in the community to get permission? I don't know, right? But a broader level of autonomy, I think, is required for that. My last point is this. I find that how we deal with our boy children in school, our boys' children, especially those who are slower learners. And this might tie back into the soft skills, but our boy children are being left on the sidelines. And I'm not saying this because I have 2 boys. This is from observation, right? I teach at SJPI. So imagine when they come to that level, the dysfunction that I have to deal with. Our boy children are being left on the sidelines because they may not be as focused as girls or whatever. And I think we need teachers who understand how to teach boys. They're not girls. They are not girls. So you might be able to tell a girl, sit down, do that. No, I'm not saying that we should let our boy children run wild. But at the same time, they're not also going to sit down and quietly play all the time. They're going to make noise. You understand? My oldest son, he makes noise, but he's still learning, right? So I don't have a solution per se how to manage that, but I think we need to put it into consideration, because we are in a system where we teach everybody at the same level, and it's kind of unfair, because girls learn one way at one speed and boys differently. And it's very disheartening, because our boys, they are the foundation of the society. And I tell you from experience, teachers, and it came out in the online classes, right? They ignore them. They shush them. They take too long to respond. So they move on to some person else. That's not right. So we have to find a way to teach our boys in this society. Yes?
Can I put out an idea?
Yeah.
And again, I'm just off the top. As a reaction to teacher, what if there was an incentive to have more male teachers involved in teaching? What if there was a purpose-built plan to encourage more males to become teachers? What would be your reaction to that as a female teacher, as someone who's brought up this idea as an issue? Would that be helpful?
It would. And this might be, we have a male teacher. My students go to Ignatius Bar as well. We have a male principal now. And in a short space of time, and this is not knocking women. Women are good leaders, right? But I'm stating an observation. No, women are good leaders, right? Good. Because we bring a level of soft skills and empathy to the plate, right? However, I have to say, I have noticed a difference in his leadership skills, both hard and soft, that has already shown an improvement, in especially with the boys. Especially with the boys. So I have no problem, none at all, as long as he's doing his job well and he cares not just for a salary, but he cares about the people who he is leading, meaning the teachers and the ancillary staff, but also the students. Right? So I have no problem. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Next, Ms. Humphrey, Shellyan.
Good night. Madam Prime Minister, members of Parliament, St. Lucie representatives, good night. I'm here as a mother and a grandmother of children at St. Lucie's Primary School. One of the things that I've seen when I was on holiday, and
You didn't say your name? What is your
my
name?
name is Shelley Ann Humphrey.
Good night to you.
Thank you. One of the things I saw when I was on holiday, October, November, which hit me hard, was children in the Connelltown, River Bay, Hope Road, Harris's area at 9:15 waiting on a school bus. Leaving there and going mile and quarter. Children from St. Lucie's, Daryll Jordan, St. Lucie Primary, waiting on a school bus. I think this is where we need to start, because I, as a parent, and I'm seeing children on the road, these children can't be going to assembly. They can't be going to their first lesson. I, as a parent, going to town, I'm going to be comfortable taking my child to town because I have to get to work for 8 o'clock. So I'm going to put my child in the car. I'm going to take it to town because I know it's going to school on time. It's not missing anything critical. One of the other things that worries me, well, not exactly worries me, we have not mentioned Steeler Primary School in all of this. I don't know why. I don't know if because Steeler has a role. But if I take the 7 o'clock on the town bus, I can guarantee you when 20 past, 7:30, my child is at school. 1 minute to 8, my child is at Roland Edwards. Just after 8, my child is at St. James Primary, St. Albans. So I'm going to send my child there because my child is getting school on time. So these are things that we need to look at moving forward. One of the other things is, if you do not have somebody to look after your child on mornings, on evenings, and Mr. Lane said from 7 to 5, which is not practical. Most people in St. Lucie leave home 6:30. So therefore, the ministry along with the schools would have to put plans in place for before care from maybe 6:30 to 9:15 when school begins, it may have to work like how they split shift work in the hotel industry, because then they need to be back there from 3 to at least 7 o'clock. Why I say 7, you have accidents on the road, you have traffic jams, people may want to run in the supermarket, all these things need to be done. Another thing I've noticed, there are no structured activities in St. Lucie. So if I want my child to go dancing, football, athletics, I need to take my child someplace close to me where during my lunch hour at 3 o'clock or 2:45, I can run out, take them somewhere, and then go back till the end of the day. Now, if there were structured activities in St. Lucie, where I'm going to use the swimming at Catch 22, and you are dedicating with the help of the private sector some sort of transportation to take the children over to Catch 22, no matter which school they're at, I might be inclined to say, okay, my child could participate in that. I'm going to carry it on for extracurricular activity. My child wants to get involved in athletics. There's no athletics in St. Lucie, so therefore, to town. So all of these are reasons why we see a decline in the populations in St. Lucie, because concerned parents who probably don't want to dedicate, for lack of better words, their time on Saturdays to run with their child. I'm taking you to town with me one time, and that's being realistic.
Logistics is a major part of the problem that you have. My question would be, when you take your son or daughter to an activity in Bridgetown or in the urban corridor, who is creating and supporting and coming up with these activities? Is it a company? Is it a club? And I ask you for a specific reason.
The majority of it is private clubs, whether it's football, Pro Shutters, United Stars, whatever. But in St. Lucie, you have, I don't know what become of Youth Milan, still there. Checker Hall United, I don't know if there's cricket at Lords, because I've never looked into these things, but what I'm saying is, or a program at North Stars. But once again, if the private sector is not on board with these things, because transportation needs to be provided. Because my child to get from St. Lucie Primary to Lords means it has to walk out and get in a van or the bus. Unless it wait for the school bus, which you don't know what time it's coming. So you may very well get to the activity late.
But Roy, what I'm hearing is an opportunity for a St. Lucie entrepreneur to create a preschool, before school, and after school enrichment program where the mothers and fathers in Lucie can enroll their children part of it, have a dedicated bus to pick up the kids from the parish, build a program that becomes exciting. So the entrepreneurs of the parish should have their thinking caps on, because you're the second or third person who will complain about the same thing. So clearly there's market.
And the stimulation of club activity.
Yeah.
Well, in order to have club activity, we need transportation. That's the first thing.
You'll have to figure out the logistics behind the business, like all of the businesses. Yeah. Okay.
That's it?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Madam Prime Minister. Protocol established. Good evening to all. My name is Petrina Devonish. Just give you a little story. I moved from Husbands out by Queens College to St. Lucie 8 years ago. Everybody want to know, where you moving that day? They got nothing that day. My father said he ain't visiting, it too far. So when my friends come now, they love it. I live in Friendly Hall. It's quiet. It's peaceful. Obviously, we know what but I ain't feeling too friendly today because I have some issues, but it's beautiful. And mind you, majority of my neighbors are not from St. Lucie. So people are willing to move to St. Lucie, but there's some things obviously that need to be worked on. So everybody knows about the water. Mr. Lane touched on majority of the issues, and I'm just going to share my solutions and expand a bit. So we have water, every shade of brown in St. Lucie. I've never drank from a tap. I've always had to buy bottled water. And I think it's quite unfair for us to pay our bills in full, pay the sewage tax, buy the water, and nothing. So my solution, and what is a basic necessity, right? And at this point, I don't think it is a St. Lucie issue. This has to be a national issue at this point, right? And my solution is, Mr. Lane said a rebate. My point was to remove the sewage tax or some type of rebate. Because there is no way you cannot use this water. You cannot drink it, can't wash your clothes. You're paying the bill in full, and you get nothing. There's nothing. You're spending more money because you have to buy the water. I have a whole house filter. The water is still brown. A filter at the kitchen sink, still brown, right? So we need to get something back. Now my second point here is St. Philip. On Friday, I went to 6 Roads, and there ain't nothing you can't find in 6 Roads. They ain't gonna leave up there to go town to do nothing. Like me, when I come home, I have to stop in either Warren's or Whole Town, bring in my food, my groceries, because you can't get nothing out here. There's nothing. At this point, and like I said before, people are willing to move, but we don't have what it takes to bring them and to keep them. We need an area designated to be developed, where we have a shopping center, we have places to eat. We don't even have to go to Spikestown. We could be like Corverly, a medical center, but we need these things. And if we want to repopulate this parish, those are things that we need to do. You know, sometimes St. Lucie seems like the outside child that nobody don't like. People live here, people from all walks of life, educated. We are not, pardon? But it's a beautiful parish. My neighbors, I come home and find my Christmas tree up. If I don't cook, I'm single, I live alone. My neighbor will cook for me. When I come home late, he calls to say, elderly neighbor, you want something to eat? I got some soup here and heat it up for you. Those are the types of neighbors that I have, right? My neighbor there cooks for me. She has a child, so she has to cook. I don't have to. She cooks for me. So people are willing to come, but we need to do some stuff, right? And St. Lucie seems to be quite attractive for businesses. We have a lot of businesses. We have Arawak, we have the BLNP Voltaic plant. Mount Gay, I was very happy to hear the CEO of Mount Gay talk about all the things that they have been doing and are willing to do. But if we're going to have businesses coming to St. Lucie, there should be a mandate for businesses to contribute to this parish, because it's something that's needed. Everybody stood up and talked about things that they need, and I think that these businesses can contribute to the island, to the parish, sorry. So my last point, and it's really, my road at Frenny Hall, St. Lucie, needs to be fixed. I said this last year, the Prime Minister didn't come and drive from the road. It got worse, and it needs to be fixed. There are 2 developments and a home for the elderly. There's one way in and one way out. When I get out of my gap, I could avoid any road on this island. I cannot avoid the road that I'm driving on, because it's the only way in and out. It's horrible. And I have a video in St. all the maneuvering they have to do. And it's probably as long as in here or less. So I'm trying to figure out when. I ain't got no solution for this, but I want y'all to give me one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Devenish.
Yes. Pleasant good night to all. I would want to start, because when we started, we didn't start with prayer. And my name is Stephen Strickland, sorry. And therefore, the Bible says, except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that build it. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we want to give you thanks for tonight, for this gathering and the purpose of this gathering. Pray, Holy Father, that you would grant us wisdom and an understanding heart, and that when we have concluded this gathering, may those who have come would work together, not only for the development of the parish of St. Lucie, but this island Barbados. In Jesus' name, amen. That was not deliberate. That was not to be ridiculous, because I'm a pastor. So therefore, I'm going to start with Vacation Bible School program and the summer camp program. We've been having that program for the last 40 years. We've worked and spent considerable amount of money, but only 1 year we were invited to be part of this summer school program because they couldn't find any 3 schools in St. Lucie to accommodate the children. That year, they paid our camp counselors only $100 as a stipend. In the district of Compton, not only where I'm the pastor, but I'm a resident, when they moved in, it had a reputation as one of the largest drug-consuming districts in Barbados. My brother was a policeman in the drug squad. So we're not going to discuss or debate this, okay? But through the work of our Vacation Bible School, I saw it changed, where you can pass, and somebody you wonder, wait, anybody live in Compton? Because you hardly see any person on the road. It is we spent a considerable amount of money, and I believe the Attorney General can vouch that, and the Minister of Finance, to house one person in prison. Only one person. And therefore, I am suggesting that a lot of churches, which I knew many years ago, conducted Vacation Bible School, no longer, for the sole reason that you're asking young people to volunteer. Last year we had a 18-year-old young lady who volunteered for the 2nd year. And therefore, the summer school program can be very, very helpful. In other words, the financing of the Vacation Bible School, a lot of schools would come back, churches would come back on board, where you're paying these young people to be able, because I work at the Ministry of Youth, because I lecture at the YES program and so forth, okay? So I'm deep into this, okay? So that's the first thing. Because for the last 2 years, we got school meals. So we didn't have to spend so much money in feeding children. So we have 3 weeks of Vacation Bible School, but I can't afford to go any further because you're asking a young person to volunteer more than 3 weeks, either of their vacation or those who are working that would want to take their vacation and volunteer, okay? So with all of the crime and violence and so forth, we have a lot of children, the only time they go to church is a funeral or a wedding. Let's face it. And therefore, it is critically important that we find a way, and I believe that the Sunday school, which very much doesn't exist in some churches, but Vacation Bible School could be that place that exposes them to the gospel of Jesus Christ at a young, impressionable age. Second point, national insurance. Why national insurance? Now, I've spent about 40 years of my life there. And there is some legislation that for the last 19 years, I spoke to Yvonne Waltz when she was president of the National Union of Women and the deputy chairperson of the Barbados Workers Union. From all the way back then, she lives right behind here, just behind here. I spoke to the Minister of Labor early last year at a meeting, and all he said is, we're going to promise. I'm going to get to what I'm going to talk about, the issues, okay? Last year, early, I sat at a desk with the Minister of Labor, Mr. Daryll Jordan, and he said, we are working on that. There are 2 issues that need to be changed and changed like yesterday. And I think we have more women here than men. The first deals with maternity grant, where a woman has to indicate that she's living with this man, not having sex with him, you know. They're cohabitating, and therefore they lie just to get the maternity grant, which the father has paid his contributions. But a lot of long talk, and I get from people. So that legislation needs to be changed. The second one, there was a change in respect of the credits. Yes, I want that legislation changed. Whereby, hello, I'm going to explain then, okay? Whereby there should be no requirement for a man and a woman to be living together or to be married, for the simple reason, if the man's name is on the birth certificate, it's the highest document in the land, he says he's his father, he signed. The maternity grant form, he signed, and I saw that form used in a court of law where the father died, and because he signed that form was used whereby the mother of the child was able to obtain property, which was his, because there are no illegitimate children. So they came in another forum because I spoke in 2022 at a town hall meeting at Alexandria on national insurance. I gave suggestions whereby the chairman, deputy chairman, the CEO, and the actuary were there. To this day, all the suggestions that I made to get self-employed people in Barbados to pay contributions have hardly ever been addressed. Further than that, the legislation changed in January of 2024. I'm putting all these now because the press is here and everybody's here, whereby self-employed people are being required to pay $1,200 a year in contributions, which equates to $135 a week in earnings. But as an employed person, you pay contributions on $21 a week. So while the self-employed person pays on 135, other persons can pay on 21, and because when the self-employed person applies for the non-contributory pension now, by virtue of the fact that they did not pay because they can't afford to pay $100 a month in contributions, they are denied the non-contributory pension. So we have hundreds of people in Barbados, thousands of persons who are over the age of 67 who are not getting the pension. So the solution is to revisit that legislation. That's the solution, to revisit the legislation. Because I have the Prime Minister here, I have the Attorney General, and all the ministers. Address it, because I will be addressing it further on another occasion. Okay? I'm going to move on. So that is there's the other one in respect of the credits. They changed the legislation in 2006, whereby sickness, unemployment, and those others can qualify using credits. It's going to take long to explain that. Sufficient that the one from maternity was not changed. During COVID, there were a lot of women that were home, having not much to do, were getting unemployment, got pregnant. When they claimed the maternity benefit, they couldn't get maternity benefit because they had all credits in there. If it was a sickness claim now, they would have had the sickness claim, and therefore the maternity. So I have always been available, and those who know, I've done more lectures at National Insurance about National Insurance than most of the staff, even though I'm now retired. So I'm just saying to you that legislation needs to be changed so that women, when they apply and they were sick from the time they conceive, and when they get to maternity now, they can't get maternity because they were sick. And that legislation needs to be changed. Next point, the pasture condom. I do not know why, with us going green, why the playing fields in Barbados are not powered by solar. I can't understand that. In 2024, the lights at Condom could have been used about 20 times. There were 365 days in the year. I don't think they were used more than 20 times. And the 20 times they were used were because Youth Milan or whoever was practicing on that playing field because the one at Chaka Hall was out of use. I live right next to the pasture. Okay, so I see whenever they come on. When they come on, somebody to jump me. I wonder what happened outside. So that's one. Two, cleaning of the playing field. Not the playing field itself, sorry, the curb of the playing field. I have to beg in the National Sports Council. My suggestion is that you provide us with a lawnmower, a weedwhacker. I will continue cleaning it as I've cleaned it for the last 38 years. I've been cleaning it. They're nodding because they know exactly what I have been doing for all those years. So provide me, because the club, I don't know if that is function, but provide me with the thing, because as I said, we have worked in Countdown to clean up a lot of the mess in respect of drugs and whatever else because of our program. Okay, so that is one the areas and thing. Now, in relation to the schools, we have a lot of retired teachers. We have a lot of individuals who are good resource persons that we need to encourage to partner with the schools without all the red tape. And give me two incidents. Where at National Insurance was close to the garrison. And this is where Matthew Farley was the principal. I volunteered to go over and give half an hour once a week. There was so much red tape, a long talk that was given to me. I said, you know something, is this really worth it? And therefore, I said, look, can't be bothered. This school, Daryll Jordan, I remember some years ago, there was a teacher, her sister was injured at the Salvation Army, and the pupil's mother died in Cuba that same morning. The guidance counselor called me and asked me, can you come over and pray? I said, certain. Half an hour afterwards, I got a call. The deputy principal said that's not a good idea. Hello? I mean, we're talking about the red tape and the frustration that, so when the ministers and whoever's get them in talk, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I say another cuckoo clock, cuckoo and back in, cuckoo and back in. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm turned off because I'm saying to you that there are those of us who are willing to volunteer. We are willing to volunteer. I was a scout leader at Ignatius Bay for many years. I've been on the PAC, about the PAC since 2009. I mean, it's not I have not been around St. Lucie. I know St. Lucie. Although, Mr. Hill, honest truth, where that place is in St. Lucie you were talking about? Excuse me, Mr. Hill, where that place is located? Babs? Hello? You got excuse? They ain't signage, but I live in St. Lucie. And I can, when you say so, just a lot of people in St. Lucie look around so a lot where that is. Just like he said, they don't know where Ignatius Bay is. So we are impressed with what we do, but unfortunately, the communication ain't there at all. So I'm saying that there are those persons who are willing to come in, share only for half an hour. You want to see I'm saying? Former teachers, former whoever else. You want to see I'm saying? Okay? And therefore, for the development of our children, water, and I'm going to mention that, sufficient that we need a town hall meeting in St. Lucie to deal with the water issue. That's the solution. For the simple reason, there are old pipes all across Barbados. They flush the pipes in St. Lucie, and we're still having the problem. It is the well, in our opinion, it's the well. We want to have a discussion with the Barbados Water Authority here in St. Lucie, at this location preferably, so that we can sit down, ask questions, and get the relevant answers. So we want Mr. Eiffel to come. A resident of St. Lucie, come, Mr. Eiffel. Excuse me. Bring your team that we can have a solution for St. Lucie. Because the reasons being given do not add up for me. So that's the thing, okay? And last of all, I heard Kadeem say that he has the contract for St. Lucie Clinic. For the bush, same difference for me. Okay, now, there's a road from the police station to the Hope Bridge. Started at the same time as the road from police station to Archers Bay. The whole road was scraped and resurfaced. They took 6 months to patch the road from the police station to the Hope Bridge. I live right a couple of yards away in Compton. Now, the worst part of that road is right under the hill, coming up to the chicken farms. It was never done. A road was built from the junction of Compton to the animal flockade. 7 wells were dug, and a brand new road was built. Thank God for the owner of the animal flockade, because he's the only person who threw it to some extent. But that piece of road at the bottom of the hill was destroyed further. I mean, it was mashed up with the trucks from infra taking mile to and fro. A tourist blew a tire in that hole last week. I blew 2 tires in that road also. Yesterday I saw a vehicle. I tried to have my camera out. The car was across the road like this. Because when he got one place, he couldn't find where to put the vehicles, and he turned it to the other side of the road. This is no joke. I am serious about this. Because I have to pass that road only 4 times a day. There are volumes of ZRs, transport buses, new brand ones that are being destroyed because of that piece of road. It is awful.
All right,
I was going to go on social media.
Mr. Strickland, just hold for 1 second.
Okay, yes.
We appreciate.
I bring a solution.
Let me finish, please. We appreciate the story that leads to the solution, but we want you to get to the solution.
Okay.
All right. We don't even halfway through with the persons who are here.
I'm going to start right now. Okay. Meet with the residents. Okay. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So as we continue, we attach the name Ideas Forum to the event for a specific reason, not to diminish your interest in getting through problems that you have, but you can do that by getting to the problem as opposed to spending most of your time on the issue or the problem before you get to the solution. So proceed, sir, but let's move it a little bit more expeditiously, please.
Good night, St. Lucie. Welcome, Madam Prime Minister and your cabinet and members of Parliament. Now, I think the water issue in Barbados.
Sir?
Broom. Sorry, my name is Len Broom. Sorry.
Good night, Mr. Brooms.
I think the water issue in Barbados is going on for too long, right? We had several meetings. The last one I remember was in St. Lucie Parish Church, and I gave some solutions. Straight up front. I said we need some boreholes. I don't know if you guys know what boreholes are, but similar to wells. I work at a 500-room hotel in Nigeria, Lagos, and we had 2 boreholes. One run for 6 months and you interchange. We had a large laundry and 5 outlets, 5 restaurants. So you guys will understand how much water we use there. And 2 boreholes. It's true that the boreholes one was 225 feet deep, and the other one was something. Anyhow, but it supplied the entire hotel with water. We had water to spare, and it wasn't yellow. I want to thank my friend Potiphar for improving the water in St. Lucie, but the problem is not solved. Alex, we grew up in the same area, and we fought a lot as well. So now let me talk about the quality of the yellow water first thing. We need proper filtration. You just can't use anything to get rid of color. Charcoal filters, carbon, what do they call it? Sand filters, carbon filters. That's what get rid of the color of the water. Yeah? I'll stay there for right now. As far as the solution to solve the water challenges, because they're not problems, they're challenges. People run from problems, but they run 2 challenges. The challenge is that we need, as I said, boreholes sink around we have a good start. The wells that the plantations use, we can get a head start with those and go down until we find water, or go in the areas where we have water and sink boreholes around the island. That's a cheap solution. The expensive solution is to have 5 to 10 million gallons desal plants, one in the north, which is going to serve St. Andrew, St. Peter, and St. Lucie, and the water won't be discolored. Secondly, you have one in the east and then one on the south, because the amount of development that's going on in Barbados right now, and we have these water challenges, what we're going to do later. And nothing was done since the last administration. When I say nothing, I mean like it wasn't solved. We didn't get the results we want in water in St. Lucie yet. So we need to have some serious attention paid to water. It's a commodity that, if the World Health Organization had to come and check the water quality in St. Lucie, they would have shut the plant down. I can tell you that right now. Right? Pardon? It's not true? So should I send you the results of the water that I sent to be analyzed in St. Lucie? Yes. Okay, so the solution, as I said, is to have these, you need an immediate solution. The immediate solution is to have the desal plants. 3 plants, one in the north, one in the east, and one on the south. 5 to 10 million gallons per day. Because when the other construction come on stream, what we're going to do, hotels, and I understand we're selling the cruise liners as well. So some serious attention needs to be paid to water. Not only the quality, but to provide some water. And we have all the resources here, but nothing don't seem to be, there's no focus on water, especially in St. Lucie. Or else we would have an immediate solution with the desal plants, and then we sink boreholes as we go around the island, and then we don't have to buy no more desal plants. That's my
Thank you very much, Mr. Broom. Go ahead.
I wouldn't repeat his nickname, but as a good St. Lucie representative, it's a clear moment for you to interject.
This put my old-time nickname in the public domain.
We all know now.
Right. Good evening, Alex Eiffel, Manager of Water Resources and Environmental Management, Barbados Water Authority. Now, is okay to say about sinking boreholes. We have about 22, 23 wells across the island. There are about 7 or 8 specifically boreholes as described by Len. But our wells are better designed than a borehole. We have wells with a shaft, it goes down, and then it has additional adits that goes horizontal to the flow of water. So therefore, it is more effective in capturing water without causing saline intrusion, which is the problem we will find on the coast. In relation to, and I will address this first, in relation to the comment about the World Health Organization, and in relation to a social media message that was spread recently. At no point in time did the World Health Organization issued any alerts on drinking water in Barbados, and actually the World Health Organization do not issue alerts to countries, and they offer guidelines which are usually within a range. The situation we had occurring in the press, each year we do quite a few thousands of tests, and we collaborate with both the Ministry of Health and the Environmental Protection Department. What they do at the end of the year, anytime there is any breach for any reason, even if we correct those breaches or if it was a result of human error, they will send us a list. We have compliance rates between 95 and 98%. Anytime a person sends you a list going into thousands of parameters and telling you they have no failures, always be careful of that, because you're human and you will have failures. So anytime that there is any breach, whether it is by mistake or not, the Environmental Protection Department, the lab, or the Ministry of Health will call us. We'll correct it immediately. However, they must still report those failures. So that is to put to rest any thought that we had a report from the World Health Organization saying that the Water Authority is in breach. That is not true. Right. And when we had a boil water alert in St. Lucie, the public were advised to boil the water and in the case I have a boil water alert. I am not saying that you said or that you posted in social media. You might not even be aware of it, but recently, which we put out a statement this week, yesterday, to clear up that issue, because that was an issue going out in the public domain. Now, in relation to desalination, as I said, we already have the boreholes throughout the island. We choose the location and production of boreholes based on the ability of the groundwater to produce enough water. Right now, we have 2 desal plants operating, one at Hope and one at Spring Garden. They produce more than 11 million gallons of water per day. So they're already at that level. There are plans to increase the production of the plant at the Hope. Also, in the future plans, some models we're doing, there are options to look at Harrison's Point in the north. There are options to look at where Granville Williams is, Ealing Grove in the south. So those are options to add to future development, because we work closely with the town and the physical planning development department to see how growth is expected across Barbados over time, and therefore we plan in our 30-year plan to 5, 10, 15, 30 years to see how we will map out our water resources development across the island. In St. Lucie, we already have boreholes in the same area around Mount Poya and so forth that we did to increase the production in St. Lucie, right? So these are areas in St. Lucie that we're looking at. So, and I would like to say, if you look on one of those plaques, you will see my name up there.
Real name.
My real name. And I was at this school when the role was much bigger. And when I hear the numbers now, it's frightening. But one of the reasons that I will use this opportunity now, one of the reasons why it's so is because of stigma. People place stigma. They don't know that Auntie Blackman went here, Tyrone Boyce. I can call a whole panoply of names that rose to levels in Barbados that went here. But we, the school ourselves, do not tell our story of success enough that the people of St. Lucie and the people of Barbados will enjoy in our successes.
Thank you, Alex. All right, we have Shernell Clark coming now, but behind her there are 9 others, and we are already approaching 9:30, which means that we are not even at the halfway point. So if we are not to cut off some of the persons who are on the list, we'd like to proceed with a little bit of dispatch and stick to the solution as opposed to enunciating the problem.
Good evening, everyone. Madam Prime Minister, Cabinet, and members of Parliament. To follow on from what Alex just said, that was actually one of my solutions that I have listed here, and that is to promote the Daryll Jordan Secondary School, because parents are not choosing it at the BSSE level because of the stigma that is attached. There are persons telling people not to put down St. Lucie School. They still call it that. But there are many great programs that are here at this school, and those programs need to be highlighted. So I would say that a real big effort to promote this school needs to be put on. And the mere fact that this school is a school of choice for those wanting to complete their secondary education at the CSET level, you have so many persons from schools all over the island breaking down these doors at CSE results time because they want to come here to finish. So we can look at having this school maybe as a finishing school primarily, because there are a lot of secondary schools who are not accepting children back in returning fifth, and so they have to find an alternative if they don't want to pay per CXC and for lessons to do those. I am also mentioning, yes, the before and after school care program, but I would suggest that it be funded by government or by the said private sector business that are in the parish, because there have been before and after school care programs. Parents are responsible for paying, and if the parents don't pay, keep up in paying, then the program perishes. So that would need to be a consistent effort, maybe between government and the private sector, to have that. And if you're looking at amalgamating these schools, you have to sort out the transportation issues so people can get to the other schools easily. Because if I live in Clinkett and Half Moon Fort is closed, then they have to catch the bus to go somewhere else, then the transportation issues will have to be worked out. Special needs program. The special needs programs need serious work in not only, well, both primary and secondary school levels, because it is like when I was here teaching for those 5 years, not that, well, I've been an educator for 20-something years, yes. But when I was here in the school teaching and seeing that children are just placed here, but the resources are lacking. You can't just put the children in this school, expect them to sink or swim, and then we complain about the output at the end of the 5 years or what's not. So the resources need to be, even if it's human resources, technological resources, whatever, those things need to be seriously looked at and ramped up at the school. It could be one of those special needs schools as well, but I mean, even from the primary level, there needs to be another one in the St. Lucie, yes. In the parish, you know that there's one arm at All Saints, but we need one here in St. Lucie as well. So that could, well, yeah. And if you look at it, even with some of the children who go here, and we know that they really should not be here, because you don't have the human resources fit enough to deal with their issues. But then the alternative is to pay for a special needs school at the secondary level, and some parents don't have that money. So there needs to be more resources put in. And finally, not education related, but the traffic from St. Lucie going, I know we spoke about the one going to the traffic lights at Westmoreland, but I'm talking about the ones going to Spikestown. I don't know whose bright idea it was to put the traffic, the one-way solution, the one-way rule going south. It makes no sense, because when all of us have to go down to the traffic lights, everybody is bottlenecked there at the traffic lights. So sometimes you have a whole long line of traffic back down to Port St. Charles because the lights, everybody has to go towards the lights. If I come down from Church Street, or whatever it's called, and I go down through by Eddie's, instead of turning left to go to Jordan's, I have to turn right back and come out of Spikestone and go back down into Spike. So it makes no sense. It would be better served if the one-way rule was the other direction, because then you would know that you have various avenues by which to access Spikestone coming from the north. As it stands, there's only one access to Spikestone coming from the north. So that needs to be relooked and maybe changed. Thank you.
Good night. I'm Ian Griffith, owner-operator of Earls from the Home in Half Moon Fort, St. Lucie. Madam Prime Minister, members of Cabinet, I think tonight is a very good night. I will be very brief because a lot have been said. I really want to touch on the water issue, but it is ironic that I can't call him our childhood name, as those guys were bigger than me, so I dare not call Alex that name. But I remember in probably 2016 or so, Alex, I don't know if you remember when you came to open up the hydrant right in front of the funeral home there, and it took about, 3 hours before we started to get water looking clear. That's the hydrants. But all I'm saying is the time frame that we are looking at, and I'm now hearing tonight, and Mr. Broom mentioned about the wells. There are wells. We talk about the desal plant. I really wanted to add another desal plant. We wish that we could add another desal plant in St. Lucie. But if we have the wells, if we have the desal plant, and we've been having this water problem since so long in St. Lucie, parts in Boscobel and St. Peter. And now we have to wait on, we are being told that I think that the only situation now to solve the problem of the water in St. Lucie is changing the pipes. Now changing the pipes is going to take a number of years to change all the pipes in St. Lucie. I remember driving down Sherman's. We had a problem driving down Sherman's where the pipe blew. You would find a burst pipe in Sherman's coming down from Sherman's going to Fishport. This week, next week, further down. I asked the gentleman, so why y'all don't just change all the pipes? Just, Griff, we only taking orders. Got to change this one. No, they're changing all. That was like almost 4 years ago that was happening. What I'm trying to say is that if we are going to be having to wait so long to have this water problem resolved in the north, a suggestion was made earlier, and I believe that this is something that the government should look at immediately, and that the people of St. Lucie should be given some compensation in this matter, because we waited so long, and we still have to wait longer because we have the infrastructure in place to resolve the problem of water, but we now have to wait on the pipes to have that problem resolved. We need to have compensation, and compensation as soon as possible. Good. My other situation here is Sherman's Road.
All right, can you, sorry, not to be rude, but can you proceed with some speed?
Yes, yeah.
And from here on, unless the clock stops, we're going to have to limit it to one suggestion per person and go to the suggestion as opposed to the problem.
Good.
And given the suggestion, the problem will be implicit.
Good. You talk away by 1 minute. Anyhow, Sherman St. Peter. Since Daryll, Sherman St. Peter have been, you have from just coming up from the Fish Rock going north, have been pretty much one traffic lane going around the corner before Clean Gates, same problem. And that's a dangerous corner. Since Daryll, nothing has been done to there. My solution is, which I could have seen that could be a simple solution to that problem, is that we needed to have boulders to protect the shoreline water from coming in and bringing the sand, because that is what is happening now. If we have another bad system coming on this side of the island, that sand will be washed away. Right now it's halfway in the road. That sand will be washed away. It will undermine the other half of the road.
So the solution
we need to have some boulders to protect and repair the road at Sherman's in St. Peter. This is too long now that we've been having to suffer driving around a corner, a dangerous corner, and nothing, not even a boulder, not even a pebble, nothing has been done. We need to have something done. And that is my solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Inga King. Sorry, that's my error. But continue, then we'll go back to the, sorry, my error. Go ahead.
Good evening. I have two ideas. The first one being the development of Archers Bay as a recreational facility with the installation of bathrooms, lighting, benches, and kiosks to improve accessibility, and comfort, as well as the introduction of outdoor exercise equipment, utilizing the existing steps to the beach as a natural fitness feature. The installation or enhanced security. Well, currently there is no security, so security and visibility will be added by having proper lighting, as the area is currently isolated and poorly lit. And secondly would be the development of Harson's Point Lighthouse as a tourist attraction. The lighthouse, as we all know, is located in a very serene and picturesque setting, meaning it is ideal for tourism and recreation. So with the implementation of the appropriate security precautions to facilitate public access, as well as the addition of bathrooms, kiosks, and lighting, and seating to enhance the visitor experience, this would be an ideal location. So I am also suggesting that there be an expansion of lighthouse tourism throughout Barbados. My understanding is that the lighthouses are owned by the government or the Port Authority, and these can be developed as tourist attractions with the necessary infrastructure. So this initiative can boost tourism, create jobs, and drive economic growth in St. Lucie and other areas. By implementing these developments, St. Lucie can benefit from increased tourism, improved recreational spaces, and economic opportunities for residents.
Thank you very much, Ms. King. The improved facilities, bathroom facilities are coming to Archer's Bay. So at least that's one part of your thing that you can look forward to
Is
very
that
quickly.
a promise?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Pompey.
Good night to you, High Table. Good night.
You're number 16.
Madam Prime Minister. My name is Tony Pompey, a resident of Chapel Hall, St. Lucie. I will be concise. Let me start. I would like to see St. Lucie added to the natural gas pipeline. My idea is that in preparation for the pipeline, that we clear the size of the road and allow for any future development to use the size of the road for any pipelines or utilities, so as to avoid digging up the road and causing any delays or anything like that. Is it possible to raise the scholarship age to 45 from 40, seeing that the age of pension was changed from 65 to 67 in 2018, and it's planned to be moved to 68 by 2034. We spoke earlier about the young men, and there are persons who develop later on in life, and if we were able to move the scholarship age, that would allow persons to at least access any type of further studies or anything to develop themselves. Improve the road maintenance plan in St. Lucie. My idea is to have greater communication with the residents, especially when road works must be done, and the Chancellor Depot must play an integral part in this, especially in facilitating and collaborating on certain things where that is concerned. Another idea is to utilize the Give Back programs at tertiary institutions to assist in needed education programs, specifically literacy, reading. Reading is big, and it's documented that we're working hard in Barbados to improve the literacy. We are at the stage where the education reform is including special needs in the natural classroom setting. And if we were able to utilize the Give Back programs at the tertiary institutions and let the Give Back hours be starting in the primary school, that would assist a lot with the class teachers and the reading specialists. Transportation in St. Lucie, we could utilize the TAP program to supplement under-provided routes as it relates to entrepreneurs. It was mentioned that entrepreneurs should step up and start business per se, or ideas to solve a lot of these problems. But we need a private-public partnership framework that would facilitate this type of partnership, collaboration, and this is the way to go. And we spoke about a lot of other things. We spoke about babies. Job security is going to be important. Civil servants going to wait long for appointments. I think last time they said after 3 years you will be appointed, but don't quote me. I think job security within the government sector, we can start there. That's my idea. And those who deserve or qualify, I think that they should get their due instead of waiting many years. That's me.
Thank you very much. Carl St. John. And remember, state the solution. And notice I'm in the singular now because of time. State the solution.
Hi, my name is Carl St. John. Welcome, Prime Minister and Mr. Phillips and all the rest of the ministers. My suggestion is that the road in front of my house needs to be widened.
Where is that?
At Half Moon 4 in St. Lucie. It is an extremely dangerous corner, and I have spoken to Peter Phillips about it for about 8 years now. And there's an accident there almost every month, and somebody is going to die in that corner, and it's a very simple solution to widen it on the other side.
Okay.
Next point.
One.
No, I got another point.
Well, this one's be a very brief one.
Harrison's Point medical facility needs to be utilized as a sports facility for people to come there to learn sports medicine, physiotherapy, to train as athletes or sports people, and to accommodate teams coming in to do training. The facility is not really being used at the moment, and it needs to be done in conjunction with the development of Maycox, which is one of the most beautiful beaches in St. Lucie, which has no access, which it needs access, and it would lend itself beautifully to being a park. I've taken Dennis Gummer. I asked Dennis Gummer to take me to go with me to Maycox.
Why you?
No, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips when he was trying to get into Parliament, but since then he has not mentioned another word to me about it. But I've been on this for about 20 years now. Thank you.
Thank you too. Miss Anthony, Natasha Anthony. Okay, moving quickly along. Damian Ford. Mr. Ford, give us your most pressing or interesting idea. One, please. Well, sorry, just let me state ideas.forum@barbados.gov.bb. So even if you don't get to say all that's on your mind tonight, you can send us something there and we will respond to you and act accordingly. Ideas.forum@barbados.gov.bb, sorry.
Good night to everyone. Prime Minister, Madam Prime Minister, senior ministers, and everyone who is here present. I'm going to get to the solution quickly. Resolution, we need to decentralize some of the programs from the National Sports Council, decentralize programs from the National Cultural Foundation and other ministries that can benefit people in St. Lucie, decentralize the new tech centers, St. Lucie, invest in St. Lucie, create a business hub, similarly to Warren's, Highgate Hall, 6 Roads. I mean, it may not be on that magnitude, but give us something that would generate economic activity. The central bank governor released the figures for the performance of our economy. I would really like to see the breakdown by parish, to be quite honest, to see where St. Lucie is in relation to the other parishes, because we need to generate economic activity in St. Lucie. And by decentralizing some of these programs, we would alleviate some of the issues that we have here, like just having 2 cricket teams in St. Lucie, 2 football teams. I mean, they're not even playing at the highest level right now. To be quite honest, and I mean, there was a young lady who touched on it. Some of the other sporting activities that are absent within the parish of St. Lucie can be brought to this parish. Things like, we don't even have a volleyball team in St. Lucie. We have 1 basketball team. There's no athletics club.
Mr. Ford, no, I don't. I want you not running your way. I want to ask a question because it has come up a couple times. So just briefly respond to me as a starting point. You said decentralized, and then you said we don't have this and we don't have that. And often, when it has been said tonight, it's been related to social activities. What is it that, in your view, is preventing communities from starting or perpetuating sports, cultural activities, whatever?
That's easy. Resources, whether it's financial.
Whether
it's financial and infrastructure. It's lacking in St. Lucie. We have to give thanks to Mr. Terrence Haynes at Catch 22. Some person alluded to it. He just gave us a taste of the aquatic life. The reality is, and if you look across Barbados, there are only 4 older secondary schools who participate in the swimming programs in Barbados.
Okay.
You don't have the St. James and the St. Daryll Jordans and those other schools. We want to give thanks for the Office of the Attorney General, Mr. Lane, for sponsoring the 4 primary schools in St. Lucie, for allowing 80 students across the 4 primary schools in St. Lucie to access Catch 22, to have swimming lessons. If that can be replicated across other sectors, other initiatives, we can alleviate some of the issues that were raised. Like, for example, other parents taking their children to the other schools because you are now investing in St. Lucie. So there's a young lady who says she used to live in St. Philip. She came to St. Lucie. There are people who want to live in St. Lucie. So if we invest in St. Lucie, then we can reverse the trend of the 85% of the tertiary educated persons leaving the parish.
Thank you very much. Do use the email address to expand on your points. It would be useful.
I definitely will.
Thank you very much. Mr. Yearwood, you've been chomping at the bit. Your one solution.
Now, my solution, good night, Madam Prime Minister, and the protocol has been established. Now, my issue is with MTW. Is still water associated with MTW?
No, it is not.
It is not. Well, it is a twofold issue. Now, we have, I don't know what the problem in St. Lucie is with water, but however, we know the main's got to be replaced. Now, I live in Barb, St. Lucie, and if I were to travel from home down to 6 Mains, every other week, a main is burst. And all I'm saying is, if the Water Authority take a stance to say, rather than replacing the one length of pipe that's based, and they replace 30 one time, they take up the whole thing and replace 30. That would reduce coming back every time one is being damaged. So if we move from 1 to probably about 3 from Sutherland Hill down to 6 Mains. That is one. Now, Colleton Road is damaged because we had the trench and everything to lay pipes. Sutherland is being dug up all the time. So persons moving now have to come up to the church to go across Mile and Quarter to come down to Spikestown because the road is damaged. Now, we in St. Lucie, if we're going to town, the roads are deplorable. So we need to have the roads fixed because it's maintenance that we have to use on our cars.
That's fair and reasonable. But my question is, you can't have both. You can't have it both ways, though.
No.
If you want the road, if you want the pipes replaced, you can't complain the road is done because
So
the
I'm
pipes
saying
are replaced.
the water is primary. So I'm saying is replace the mains and do it one time. and then the road will be repaired.
Okay.
The water is paramount. So we are willing to give way to the roads to get the water fixed.
That's fair.
Go on.
Reasonable.
So we got that sort of. Now, we have heard about the depletion of the population in schools in St. Lucie. Now, we have Sealer, we have Ignatius Bay, we have Harpoon Fort, we have St. Lucie Primary. Now, one of the teachers alluded to the fact that boys are being marginalized. And I'm saying use St. Lucie as a pilot. Close down 20 schools, send boys to one school, send girls to one school, and therefore the boys will be adequately taken care of. What I'm saying is, put some sort of transportation in place to take those boys and girls to the various locations. Use St. Lucie as a pilot for re-engineering how boys are being managed in the educational system. And I think that St. Lucie being a pilot and the depletion in the populations can easily solve the problem and be replicated across Barbados. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the final person on the, go ahead, Alex. You don't need to introduce yourself a second time.
Right. One thing I didn't mention earlier is that, yes, we are presently installing a filtration system at Allendale, and the filters have arrived at Barbados Water Authority today, so that will be in shortly. But in the meantime, they're asking about pipes. We've had replacements for Centipede Alley, Maycox, Brumfield, Checker Hall, parts of Crab Hill, going to Josie Hill, and these are already on the government portal bonfire for the contractors to make the bids, the request for proposals, things like that. So these are areas that will be replaced. One of the areas that I spoke about in Colleton, we've just replaced that main. It's almost completed. The main is still to be finished, pressure tested, and then disinfected so that we can change over the services in that area. And once we've done that, the road can then be resurfaced. But there's no thing to resurface the road before the main is pressure tested, because we got to make sure that the main wouldn't have any leaks or anything like that. But those are issues that are already out there to be completed.
Thank you very much, Alex. The last person on my list and the last person for the night is Fiona Griffith.
Hi, good night. My name is Fiona Griffith, and I'm here. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to discuss all of what I want to discuss. It's about children, and I'm touching on the common interest exam. Last year, we had a major issue with children who needed assistance with readers, and there were a lot of them. They were assessed, and if you read their files, they needed the readers. They were denied. And
sorry, please. Readers as in glasses, readers as in
sorry,
people who read.
persons who sit and read for the children. A lot of them were denied. So for me, if you are not a strong reader and you're denied a reader, how can you do the exam? How can you succeed in the exam? It means we set up our children to fail. And some of the children who cannot read, who are not strong readers, it doesn't mean they don't know the word. I know of a child who, when you read for him, he can give you every single answer, a student. But when he has to read for himself, it's an issue. So our solution is, I wondered, is it that we don't have enough readers? It cannot be that, because we have UE students, we have BCC students, we have fifth form students that we can allocate in these schools to read for the children. So my thing is, please, this year, do not fail our children who need help reading. Please allocate students from the UE, BCC, and anywhere else that can assist to read for the children so they can get to where they need to get.
Solid
Right?
point. Thank you very much. Excellent point on which to end. Come to the mic, come to the mic. No, give it, okay, go ahead. Speak into the microphone. Be bold.
to say that I would like all boys to be treated the same way that all girls be treated.
Come, we will take the time to hear you. Go ahead. Tell us what you want to see changed.
You're saying that you think boys get treated harder.
Right, talk him, help him along, help him along.
You were saying you think boys get treated harder than girls? Okay. You want me to say it for you? Okay. So he was saying that the boys get treated harder than the girls. So the girls kind of get it a little bit easier from the teachers. So if they, what was it? If they don't understand or even if they misbehave, you know, the teachers kind of like pass it off very easy. And when it comes to the boys, they get treated harder. That's
What's
it.
What's your name?
I am Ethan Edwards.
Ethan Edwards. Thank you, Ethan.
Roy, are you telling people thank you for? PM, do you want the opportunity to wrap up?
Let you all wrap up. I just want the opportunity to say one or two things. I first want to thank everybody who came out and spoke, because this is exactly what this was intended to achieve. And they are going to be, I've made a very clear list separate from what they will do to compile all of the things. The truth is that in many instances things are being done. Dwight, you may want to just speak to the districts that we are looking at housing in St. Lucie. In fact, the biggest expansion of housing in Barbados will be in St. Lucie, because Dwight will speak and tell you how many acres we have overall and how many are in St. Lucie. Secondly, the recommendations on the bus routes and those things that are initially simple, we can move on those right away. Thirdly, I think the Minister of Education has heard you all very, very clearly. When I was Minister of Education, there used to be 4,000 students, 4,100 students a year doing common entrance. There are now 3,100 doing common entrance. What is worse is that when we did the estimates last week, and I asked for the roll count numbers for infants A and infants B and class 1, it is down to between 2,000 and 2,100. This is what has happened to our population in short order. Neither government that has existed has altered the role of teachers. We haven't sent home any teachers. But what we need now to be doing, and that's what we've been talking about in education reform, is how do we better utilize what we have to be able to give the children a chance. There are still countries in the world where the pupil-teacher ratio is 1 in 30 and 1 in 40. Barbados' pupil-teacher role is lower than 1 in 15, I'm told now today, and set to decline further based on those numbers that I just gave you about the cohorts. So we hear you. I heard your recommendation. It is for discussion. It's not, and the ministry has to be able to look at it. Whether we use some of the schools for more special needs, whether we do and pilot single sex at primary as you have discussed, whether we find incentives and a form of affirmative action for male teachers. We actually have affirmative action at the common entrance for the transfer of boys in this country. So that if we were to go only on the basis of marks, the top schools would probably end up with 80 girls and 40 boys. But because we do and say, no, we want the top 60 boys and we want the top 60 girls, you then end up with boys having at the top probably a slightly lower mark, and because there is an affirmative action intervention, we ensure then that there is equity with respect to the amount of places at the higher levels in the secondary schools. There were other things like roadworks. Carl, we heard you about that. Ian Sherman's have been speaking about it. I know that, I think it was Mr. Pandor and the others who were doing the designs for that. So you should see some movement on that. Alex has spoken already to all of the Water Authority issues, but I will ask that Water Authority still have a separate session with the residents of St. Lucie, as you have asked for, to ensure that, and especially once the filtration system goes in, I don't pretend to be an engineer, but it has to be something. I know that Allendale was given trouble with that in the past. With respect to the desal plants, Mr. Broom, he just spoke to you about the temporary desal plant at the Hope, but the government has committed to a permanent desal plant. And let me go back. The last administration left 2 desal plant contracts for 6 million gallons each. In fact, there was a third, because the third was the extension of Ionics 2, which is what is at Hope now. Problem was that the government was to pay, Water Authority was to pay for every single gallon lifted, take or pay, regardless of whether the water could be distributed. Alex would tell you that there was no capacity to distribute what we would have to pay for. So that the country over the last 7 years would have paid at least AG for what, almost half the water that under the 6 million gallon per day contract, without us being able to deliver it to a single human being. What was also worse is that it would be at $4 and change. I can't remember the exact amount, but we have gone back and renegotiated, and we believe that, in fact, both of them, one now is ready to come out completely, but even before they came out, they were down, as I told Parliament, to 260 something, 270 something, I can't remember off the top of my head. A significantly lower price than would have been paid had we gone ahead with the contract at the time. We are more than conscious of the expansion. We have beaches that will start later this year at the old Haywood site. We have other hotels. We have Pendry that is going at the moment. We have another one in Spikestown. If we don't increase the supply in the north, we will have trouble, not now, but in a few years' time. And therefore, our plans are directly aligned with that. Alex also indicated that at some point, we had to address the issue in the south, but there are a whole host of studies being done. Water is the biggest issue in the country. And water, as a result, that is why we did the Debt for Climate swap, because once we can get the treated water going into the system, going into the aquifers, that will also help us augment, increase the volume of water that we have for Barbadians. Because, don't get tired, there is a diminution in groundwater, not just here, globally. And there is the greater risk of the incursion of salt water, intrusion of salt water into the wells that we have that are near the coast. And therefore, these guys have to be watching it very closely, because once that happens, then, and it goes into the well, those are gone forever. So these are some of the things that we've heard you very clearly on. I want to say that we will meet you halfway on a number of the other social things, sir. Your vacation clubs, Bible clubs, that is not an issue. And I have no doubt that Minister Lane and the AG will make sure that you, along with Minister Charles Griffith, can look at it. I've heard you about the facilities up here too. But let me also say that once we do that, those of us here have to lead the way to being able to have the clubs and have the mentorship that will make the difference. Because once you put facilities in place, if you don't have older people guiding and mentoring our younger people, we're going to have problems in this country. And it has to be done across generation, it has to be done across gender, it has to be done across class, it has to be done across race. That there has to be safe spaces where people can come and be mentored and raised, whether it is in reading, Ms. Griffith, whether it is in sports, whether it is in whatever type of cultural activity. And yes, this is probably the best school hall that we have in the country. And therefore, when we have Carrie Festa later this year, I expect that up here will be a hub of activity. Now, I've heard you also, one of the better ideas at the beginning too, was looking at the possibility, it may not be the churchyard itself, because the church has to accommodate funerals and other events, but I think next door to the church, Tammy, you were saying that there is land. Okay, so we can talk that, although there's no issue though, because he's not served for a while. But the point is that the notion of having a hub that will allow for greater centrality in St. Lucie and people being able to come and then move and spread out from there is one that we will carry to the Transport Board or the new Mass Transit Authority when it comes, and see how best we can do that. I've heard you also clearly that if we are going to consolidate schools in any way, you have to ensure that there's transport to the individual schools across the parish, because the natural route, and you only have to look at the bus stop signs, to city, outer city, and therefore anything that gain otherwise laterally in trouble. So I hear you. I want to commend the people of St. Lucie for once again getting us off to a brilliant start. Last time we thought it was going to be even better, but plans were there for us that we had to bow to. This time, I pray that we can reach all the way down to November to St. Michael. But the tone that you have set here this evening, and the ability for ministers and MPs to sit down and listen, and to be able to take away ideas, some that immediately can be implemented, some that need further study, and some that we may have to have discussions on, and we may or may not be able to do it. But this is what having a strong, inclusive democracy is about. And it could not happen if you didn't believe it enough to come out of your houses and be here tonight. So I thank you, I commend you, and may this be a way that continues to inspire all of us that we can do better, because we are always stronger how together. Thank you. Dwight, you can just give an update on the housing things for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Good night to everyone. I just want to start by saying I drove from St. George tonight to St. Lucie in 38 minutes. Lovely road. And for 20 years, near 20 years, I did that journey probably for roughly around 15 years. And I start there to say, St. Lucie is not far. We have to dispel this notion that St. Lucie is far. I cut my teeth in St. Lucie at the plant just down the road there, and that's where I cut my teeth as an engineer. But having said that, I heard persons tonight speaking about people leaving St. Lucie, exiting St. Lucie, and we have a plan for St. Lucie. Couple months ago, just over a year and a half ago, the Ministry of Housing, Lands and Maintenance, together with the Town Planning Department, we did a tour around Barbados. We started in St. Philip, we ended in St. Lucie. We identified 1,768 acres of land for housing. And guess where the majority of that land was? In St. Lucie. 650 odd plus acres. And if you analyze how we build houses, 10 acres, 10 houses minimum per acre, you understand that you can get over 6,500 houses easily in St. Lucie with respect to the availability of land. Having said that though, there's infrastructure to be put in place. As someone said, water, and that will be worked on. You heard Alex, you heard the Prime Minister, and what we'll be doing to address the water situation. So we'll bring back life to St. Lucie through housing and good infrastructure. We just built 10 east-west houses in Coconut Hall in St. Lucie. Those houses are ready to be occupied by residents of St. Lucie. And Peter has submitted his list and we're ready to move. On that said property, 4 acres, just under 4 acres, we have some close to 20 more houses to place in Coconut Hall. And these houses will be Jor Villa houses. So we have diversified the housing portfolio, moving from bricks and mortar to like geared steel houses and hardwood houses. South of this school is a site called Nestfield. Nestfield, we have some 50 acres of land. Then you go to Lowlands, 150 acres. You go to Bentham, you have some 20 acres. So I'm just letting you know. And some of the plans we have started, we are at Fosdick, where we have 9 acres. We have started the first phase of infrastructure, where we intend to build 89 houses at Fosdick, what we call Colleton. So I'm just letting you know, the time is now whereby we'll bring housing solutions, and it is indeed fit for purpose, diversified product offerings in terms of housing, and we'll bring back life to St. Lucie. We are not just building houses, because on the 40 acres here that I mentioned at Nestfield, we intend to have like a little town center where small businesses indeed can ply their trade, and instead of going to Spikestown, those persons who live in Connelltown can stop short here at Nestfield and buy, produce, clothing, whatever. So those are some of the plans that we have for St. Lucie. I just want you to know. And a gas station. Yes, thank you.
Peter, we couldn't be in your constituency without offering you opportunities tonight to everyone, no?
Good night, everyone. Good night to the Prime Minister and the members of Cabinet, my fellow colleagues. It is indeed, I'm indeed happy to be here and to hear the suggestions which you made. Some of those suggestions would have been made some time ago. I would have, some of the suggestions, particularly with respect to transportation, I would have made already, and definitely I will follow up to ensure that those things that you mentioned, those things that you want to see in this constituency, this lovely parish of ours, that they are executed. And I have every confidence in the government, in the leadership of this country, to be able to execute those things which would bring joy to you and to develop St. Lucie even more than it has been. And I've always said at the end of the day, this is the best place to live. That is the reason why I am happy to be the Member of Parliament. I connect with most of you that spoke here tonight. You know, you have been communicating with me over the years. We've worked together even before I was Member of Parliament. The one person though that we have spoken to quite a bit, Mr. Carl St. John. And if Carl gets you on the phone, you know that is 2-3 hours which he's been talking. And Carl, you know, we have discussed your issues. I've also heard the issues from Mr. Brooms sometime about a year or two ago, which he discussed. So I've always told you, when you have the opportunity, when the Prime Minister is here, you have the opportunity to speak to the Prime Minister. Say what you have to say. Do not take it or believe that it is a judgment on me as the Member of Parliament. You are supporting the ideas and those things which we raise at the level of government. And I thank you for doing that tonight, where the Cabinet, Prime Minister herself, has heard, and we will work on those matters. I want to thank you, Minister Sutherland. We've been in touch in the last couple of weeks with respect to the housing situation in St. Lucie, and we didn't mention the housing at Fosdick, and there's some more land which is available, which have some 260 something lots over in Bright Hall side. So these are all things that we are working on, and I know persons love St. Lucie. You love to come to live. You want to come to live, and that is quite all right. I will welcome you, and I will work with every one of you to make St. Lucie the best parish not only the parish with the only female name, but the best parish in Barbados. I want to thank you, colleagues, and my constituents tonight. Thank you for sharing those ideas, and we will work with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phillips. Thank you, St. Lucie. Thank you, everyone who's been part of this exercise, those who followed us online. Our next stop is St. Peter, tentatively set for the 24th of February. And we look forward to the contributions from St. Peter. Again, thank you. Get home safely. Have a good night.